Here we go. Plat Chat Overwatch episode, I think it's 157 actually. Wow, this is so scuffed. We're live on a Monday. Avast camera just broke. Costa's not here. But, you know, I put Costa in the thumbnail. So, wait, I gotta tell him. If you show up, we're already live.
Do a red X through his face. If he doesn't show up, do a red X through his face.
No. Got bad experience about that. Fuck? You're not supposed to do that. No, you're not supposed to do that. Wait, remember when we did that on the Overwatch League in like 2018 and we got flagged for it? We're not supposed to do that.
We're not in the Overwatch League. But
I before getting into it, I just gotta explain why we're here, okay? I'm fucking traveling again, fucking world tour over here, all right? So we gotta go live on a Monday instead, and people are like, why are we live on a Monday? Well, it's because I'm traveling. I'm sorry, guys, but I wanted to get an episode out because there's been some signings dropped, and we figured we'd have a little bit of a chat about it. But it's Christmas, so you know, Avast is parents for chilling.
Christmas.
Day after Christmas. Well, I mean. We're still celebrating Christmas despite the fact that it's like after Christmas Day, right? Like there's a bit of a lingering Christmas phase, right? Like it's not immediately over.
No, I think it's Boxing Day.
No, it's over.
As Jack said. It's Boxing Day. Yeah. This is the day where every boxer gets together and fights each other.
It's like a battle royale of boxers.
Yep.
That's what happens in the UK. They all gather in London. Near the Buckingham Palace, and they just it's a big battle royale. It's like the Purge, but for boxers in the
next Ludwig event. Boxing Day.
Why is it actually called Boxing Day?
It's something to do with like repacking things into boxes. I'm pretty sure you can Google it, but
yeah, figure it out. I'm gonna be sitting here very gingerly because once again, as they've seen so far, if I jostle my USB,
the name comes from a time when the rich used to box up gifts to give to the poor.
That's actually
Boxing Day
nice.
was traditionally a day off for servants, a day when they were to receive a special Christmas box from their masters. The servants would also go home on Boxing Day to give Christmas boxes to their families. There you go.
So at least it's a holiday like with sharing and like a day of like giving gifts to like people, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it was giving gifts to your servants and people described as masters, giving it to their servants and such. But, you know, at the end of the day, I guess it was...
Look, we have a better societal structure in 2022, all right? But still, you know.
Now we have the clout, those with clout and those without clout. Our new societal structure.
True. Does that mean we're getting gifts from people, big streamers like Ludwig, like XQC? Is that the...
No, we have to give gifts. Like going live on Monday. That's our gift.
Oh, I see.
Our gift for the people. I hope they're appreciative.
No,
I fucking can't. All right.
Johnny's hungover and he can't speak.
He's
sorry.
really
His brain does not function.
Hello, I'm a little off the goop. All right. See, this is my gift. I show up despite being a bit hungover and not having had any breakfast. I show up to go live with this podcast anyway. All right. This is what we do for the people. All right. Also because we enjoy spending time with each other. Joss, what did you get for Christmas? What did you get for Christmas? Did you get any packages?
I didn't actually get any. I didn't. Well, I got a couple of things, but the big ticket item, quite literally a ticket, was actually a Blink 182 concert ticket for June.
Oh shit! That's actually hype as fuck.
That's very fucking hype. I've never seen Blink 182. It was my first time a few months ago seeing Sum 41 live, and I was like pogging out of control. Like I've always been. Well, I lived in like Portsmouth when I lived in the UK, and that was like, it was like a super metal scene. I used to go and see local bands all the time. I had a couple of friends, a couple of bands. Yeah, like metal.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Shout out Kill 'Em Dead Cowboy. No one's gonna know that fucking band, but legends. But like, I used to see loads of like local metal bands and shit like that because I had friends in them, or like I knew people that had friends in those bands. So we saw that shit all the time. But like big concerts and shit, I just never went to. So like I went to see Linkin Park was my first like big fucking concert. That was before Chester passed away, and my second one was fucking Sum 41 a few months ago, and now Blink 182. So yeah, it's fucking cool.
You should talk to Tom DeLonge and from Blink 182. You know he's the leading UFO expert.
I did know. Yeah, I did know that. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why they broke up originally.
He's like super into aliens, and yeah.
Pretty epic. And then plus 44, obviously, Boxcar Racer with the fucking other homies. Yeah, dude. I know the law.
Dude, I think, I hope I mean, he got him to declassify all that stuff, and I thought that the news was pretty much like, we don't have anything. So really, whatever. Tom.
You say that now, Bob Lazar. Just saying. If you haven't watched the documentary on Netflix about Bob Lazar,
I haven't seen that one.
Dude,
yet.
it's so good. It's one of my favorite documentaries of all time, honestly.
Do you think it would be scarier to be alone in the universe or to not be alone in the universe?
Not be alone, definitely. Because.
But what if they're like really mean?
Well, then exactly. That's why it's scarier. It is to like not be alone, right? I mean. In theory, if you think about like how fast the universe is expanding, right, and how we can't really see that far out, and if we can, like it's at a time like millions of years ago, like, and how things progress that quickly, the likelihood is we're not alone in the universe, whether it's fucking little rodents on other planets, or maybe it is like advanced civilizations, like tier 1, tier 2 civilizations.
Do you think the tier 1 civilizations, do they have better sponsors?
Probably
sponsors.
Not, I would say
they're tier 1. They're a tier 1 civilization. The tier 2 civilizations, they don't get as much partnership revenue.
That's okay. It's the opposite way around. Okay, yeah. I mean, they probably are sponsored by HelloFresh still. And shit.
Maybe
like
they have a crypto sponsor.
Crypto sponsors.
I mean, crypto sponsors. Yeah, they probably still exist. Maybe Crypto.com in another universe is, still growing strong.
You think alien civilizations? They have the blockchain. Are they that advanced yet?
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah.
What are the supply chains?
They're not trading monkey JPEGs, they're trading human JPEGs. What they're doing.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, that's crazy, bro. Yo, I got a rectangular human PFP on Twitter.
Rectangular, like a triangle one or something.
Yeah, a triangle one, yeah.
Triangle humanoid. Whoa, look at this.
How did we get there from me asking you what you got for Christmas?
Well, we got
Blink 182.
Blink 182.
Yeah, Blink 182.
Yeah, Delange, who's into UFOs. Bob Lazar, shout out. And then,
yeah. Shout out. We're not giving shout outs to Bob Lazar on the podcast.
This is a shout out podcast now. Shout out. Rich Tea Biscuits.
What do you get, Avast? What do you get, Avast?
I didn't realize. I got a pair of boots, actually. I got a pair of nice leather boots.
Oh, same, actually.
Yeah. And I've been meaning to get a pair because I've only had suede ones for a while. I needed some leather ones, a black pair, too. And then I got, and then after that, I just got some money. That was about it.
That's the best
pretty
gift.
Chill. Yeah, it was pretty chill. It was pretty chill. I mean, because I don't really need much.
Money is not a good gift. It really isn't. I used to think that. I used to think getting money is good. But it's not about...
I would rather give someone money.
It's not about the value of what you're getting. It's not about like, oh, I got $100, I can do whatever I want with it. It's about someone surprising you with that value and you getting something that you want.
I'm surprised with the value when I open up the card and I'm like, wow, look at the value here in bills.
Yeah.
It's so boring to get money.
I would much rather give someone money that they can spend on whatever they want than like getting them a gift card or a gift they might not find full use or full potential with the gift. I'm a very pragmatic, like I want the full value of something. I'd rather give someone $100 than like $120 worth of something they might not get full use out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I think in overall, I agree with you in the respect, like if it's someone you're really close with, I can understand. Like I think it makes more sense to give gifts. But if it's like people that you're not like familiar with or you don't know that like exactly what they want, I think it makes more sense to just be like, here's some cash, like, but unless you're super based, in which case is my favorite thing, where you just tell people, here's what I want. You just tell them like, here's what I want, then make a selection to give it to me, because I think that's the best thing. Like I have a lot of people tell me like, here's like I have a good friend of someone that's like, here's what I want. And I'll just be like, okay, I'll get this for you. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, I don't have to, like, I know you, but I'm not exactly sure what exactly you're looking for, per se. Like, to me, that's a lot easier because, like, I just like being able to, like, I'm like Jack. I prefer to be very pragmatic with the gift. And be like, I know this is what they want. Like, same with my dad, he watches YouTube all the time. So I got, like, I've been using YouTube Premium. I tried the free trial of YouTube Premium. I was like, wait, this actually kind of, like, owns. I like being able to not have ads and, like, download videos when I travel. I just bought the family plan because it was like $5 more a month, and now my dad's just watching fishing videos without ads on his TV with reckless abandon.
That's it. Your dad, giga-based.
Dad and Bigfoot, just like over this for hours.
Next up, you're gonna have to give him Twitch Turbo. No ads on Twitch.
He doesn't do Twitch. He doesn't do Twitch. He only does YouTube. Yeah.
I'm sure there's some fishing category on Twitch.
Master used to stream himself fishing in the Finnish lakes. Maybe he's a
for real. Viewer. Like actually,
he used to in the off season. He used to stream himself fishing. Yeah, Masa. Yeah, legend, absolute legend.
Like real backpack streams fishing.
Yeah, he was just in a fucking boat with his friend, and they were just fucking fishing in this lake. It was really funny. Yeah.
What?
I like those streams. Yeah.
How have I missed out on this
Legendary
Overwatch
streams.
lore?
That is,
Yeah,
I mean, it was
a couple of years ago now, maybe.
it had to be like season 2-ish, maybe somewhere around there. I can't remember. It was definitely at least 2-3 years ago. Somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Johnny? What did you get for Christmas, huh?
I got two pairs of boots that I really want.
2 pairs.
Yeah, two pair of boots
cool.
that I'm really going to make good use out of. So I'm really happy about that. I got a belt, which is really helpful because I suck at shopping belts. So good value. You know, use a belt there, and yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Oh, you got a block of Overwatch tiers, right? The block of salt.
Oh, the block of salt. Yeah. I got a block of salt as well. Yeah. Yeah. That was one of those things where like my mom was like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And like I was like, "I want a block of salt," and she was like, "Okay, I'll buy a block of salt." So it's actually like a grilling kind of salt. So it's like a big block of like salt, of like pink Himalayan salt, and you put it on your grill, and the block heats up, and then you can like cook meat on top of the block of salt. And so you get all this like salty good flavor from actually like cooking on top of it, right? And so I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be great. I can't wait to use it.
You just put it on the grill itself?
Yeah, it's like one of those pizza rocks, you know, like a pizza rock. I put in the oven.
Stone?
Yeah, pizza stone. Yeah.
Pizza stone.
Oh, actually, because I've seen it I've seen the salt blocks like when I went to like in 2018, Boston took us to like this steakhouse in Boston that was like they put the steak on the salt block type of thing. But I've never seen. I didn't know you grilled with it like on the salt block. That's interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of it either. So, but it's gonna be fun to use. So I'm really stoked about that as well. That's epic. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, people are wondering where Costa is. Well, I think there was some miscommunication with Costa because he was supposed to be here, but you know.
You should just put a JPEG of his face.
Yeah, a JPEG of his face. Yeah, I'll do that. I gotta dig up some good picture of Costa.
Old Valiant photo of him that everybody uses.
Yeah, maybe something from the Costa News Network.
And then also, I had a thumbnail ready to go for the episode, and so obviously Costa was in that, so I didn't take the time to remove him in case he doesn't show up. So he's on the thumbnail, and people are like, "Oh, Costa's supposed to be here," and it says Costa, but he's not actually here. I don't blame him though. I blame myself. You know, if people are like, "Oh, Costa is late," no, blame me. Okay, might have been some miscommunication. So if you're gonna blame someone for Costa not being here, blame me. All right,
I was very close to not being here.
Okay, there's no miscommunication in the message that was sent yesterday that says, "Hey, you want to record tomorrow?" There is no
that's the thing. But the thing is, if you don't actually read the message, then it's a problem because like
if you don't read the message you were tagged in,
that was happened to me. So like essentially, I saw it. It's like, hey, do you want to?
That's good.
Fanatic.
Good photo. Good
Fanatic,
photo.
Costa. See, I saw this like, hey, do you want to record Plat Chat? You're free. And I was like, okay, sure, should be fine. Like normal Tuesday times, whatever. I just didn't read the messages, and then I opened it up like 10 minutes before we started. I was like, oh, he said today. He meant for today.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. If you just don't read it, then it's a miscommunication.
If you don't read, it's miscommunication.
Yes. So I think that's what happened. I think Scott just didn't read it.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's off season. I hope people can tell that like we're a bit more chill during the off season. Like we're not showing up here and about ready to give our best opinions of 2022. Like we're hanging out, having a good time. So
I give my best opinions every day.
No, you don't.
Says you. Wait a second.
Yes, I do. Every single day.
I miss the Avast that goes on like wild rants and uses like words from the dictionary I've never heard before.
I still do that. It's just recently there hasn't been as much ranting there hasn't been as much ranting as necessary. I think everything's kind of we're ranted out. We ranted last episode about APAC a bit, sort of.
Yeah, we did, I guess, with the Nati stuff. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
There was some solid rants.
That was a good episode, actually.
It was.
You know what we should do? I guess it would be a little bit difficult. Like,
well,
I was say rank every episode, like, for the year. Here was the best episode. But
how many episodes?
That would be impossible. Yeah, no, that'd be stupid.
I mean, Plat Chat's really gotten to the size where I think that like a best of Plat Chat, like getting like a 15 episode playlist together of like the best Plat Chat episodes, that would be probably something good, you know?
It's like I think you could do a poll.
It would be hard to review the episodes is the only thing. It's like,
well, what if you turn it into a community thing and then you have it like a March? You have it like a March Madness bracket.
Oh, have the viewers work for us? Yes.
Yeah, have the viewers do it for us.
They do the
legwork. We review. But we do a March Madness style bracket of episodes, and then they go through there. What do you think Scott got for Christmas?
Scott?
Ooh.
Yeah, what do you think he got for Christmas?
What did Scott get for Christmas? That is a good question.
He's inscrutable, you know? It's tough to I don't know exactly what he wants.
I can half cheat. I know one gift he got because it was on Sab's Instagram story.
Okay. Let us know what he got. Then I can extrapolate from that data.
Some nice sweater. Like a cashmere sweater.
I reckon he got clothes, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I think he maybe I think I could see a sweater.
Some nice clothes.
I could see in that case, if he got a nice sweater, maybe he might have gotten some socks, perhaps.
Okay.
Socks are always in style.
That's very Christmas default, though. That does not.
Yes, it is.
Their kind of gift.
No, it's not. It's not. But I don't. Thing is that like, what he likes F1. Maybe he got an F1 racing car.
True.
Oh,
what if he got one of those F1 racing car beds that like you sleep in?
Oh, the racing car bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him in a race car bed actually.
Yeah.
He's in the Mercedes car. The Mercedes car racing bed. I could see it.
Damn, what a gift.
What a gift. Sab, I don't know if you got that, but well done, Sab. Good work getting him the Mercedes race car bed.
Good at picking gifts.
Well,
here's us chumps in our Lightning McQueen beds.
That's the wrong one.
Whoa,
that's not right. Whoa,
leaks.
You can't show that. That's proprietary information.
Unbelievable. Well, I guess we can't show anything on this episode because I didn't have that scene set up. Oh well. That's how it goes. Yeah, it could have been worse. It's fine. All right, I was gonna show off this fucking amazing bed, but alas, I cannot do that now. All right, do you want to get talking about some Overwatch League stuff? Because the free agent signing window actually hit, and there were some interesting news items to say the least. So
yeah, let's do it.
So we might as well get into it. Boston Uprising. What the fuck did Pre just do? All right.
Maybe formed one of the most legendary lineups of all time. What the fuck? How much money? How much money has Boston got?
Well, I mean, we talked about this last week as well. Do you really need to spend a lot of money to pick up like a superstar roster at this point? So it looked like it's worth a lot of money, but who knows how it actually played out. See, if I do this then, will it show? I
had a generalized take when a few of us have discussed it before. This roster either implodes or just dominates the entire region.
Really?
I think it's one of the two extremes, yeah. I think the DPS line either implodes or it's just cracked out of its goddamn mind.
I mean, Jesus Christ. Okay, for backline, you got Lee Jagon and Isayaki. Tank, you have Smurf, and your damage line is Striker, Decay, and Birdring. Like, what the hell?
Very good.
It's very, very
good.
But the problem is, like, how many times has Striker currently, like, retired? Like, what's this count now we're at?
This is his third time coming back to Boston. This is third time being on Boston.
Okay.
It is a different Boston, but it is the third time.
It is a different Boston, but maybe you know how bulls see red? Maybe he sees blue and then gets mad. Like, this is my big problem with this roster. Also, we know Decay is an absolute beast, but Washington Justice, bruh. I don't think it can be overlooked at this point, you know? Like,
yeah, but I don't know if Decay was ever like Decay, like, he didn't really get that much playtime overall a lot of times in the Justice. Like, I don't know if Decay was ever necessarily the problem with the Justice previous iteration, right? So I don't know. It's hard because also I think like Striker's previous leaving team things have been with mixed roster teams, not so much full Korean rosters. Okay. So like it's interesting. I mean, and then Birdring is Birdring. I think he's still he was a great player when he last played for Glad. He was a really, really good player. So I also think that overall this actually I will give this credit here. I don't think this is a budget thing. I will admit, and we talked about this earlier about Pre, is that Pre is very good at doing a lot of traditional GM tasks, I think, and specifically like building his roster and like attracting talent. Because to me, I don't think this is a budget thing as much. So there has been some hints, I believe, that apparently through various chatter that like Boston is investing slightly more this year compared to teams, but it doesn't mean they're investing a lot. It just means that essentially since they spent a long time being cheapo, they're willing to put a little bit money into this year. But it doesn't mean they're like going big budget. It just means that like they have a slightly more money than they did. But it's more impressive to me they got this roster because of the fact that the free agent talent pool is so stacked that like it means there's a lot of different there's like, and getting these players, there's so many different homes these guys could have gone to, right? When you look at like the Dragons backline, Smurf, like Birdwing, Decay, right? Like literally all these players could find home somewhere, and the fact that he brought them all to Boston is impressive to me. I find that act very impressive when I feel like, in particular, when you look at Smurf, Izayaki, and Li Jigan, who've been very active players this past year and very, very good. Guess what? Camera turned off.
Oh no,
my camera's off.
Yeah, well, he's unlucky.
I'll reconnect after I finish this point. But the point being is that I think this is an impressive job from Pre. However, I do see he is still he is 100% like, it's very clear that he loves Supreme, because Supreme is
assistant general manager,
assistant GM. Now, I will they do have a new head coach. I think it's like
Dongsu, which is pretty fucking large pickup.
Dongsu, for those who don't know, he used to be an assistant coach for Shanghai Dragons in 2021. He did not coach for anyone in 2022.
Yeah, so I'm seeing, like, to me though, I understand that like Supreme obviously is not the head coach anymore, but I find a hard time believing he will not be doing some sort of coaching responsibility, because if you have an assistant GM at this state of the Overwatch League and all he is an assistant GM, that's like an insane waste of resources to me. Like, I can understand having an assistant GM that also is an assistant coach, helps with coaching roles, like that makes a lot of sense. But like if he's just in a pure administrative role now, then like that's very weird to me, and it shows. But like either way, like Free and Supreme are like, they're tight. They're extremely tight like that, apparently, it seems. So, but I'm impressed with the roster build here. I am worried. I think my biggest question marks, honestly, are the DPS line, for sure. I think that's everyone's general point.
I want to spend some more time on that Washington Justice note. I mean, first of all, like, we have, despite Washington Justice results, and we've been discussing them so many times on the podcast, like, as well, we don't really know, like, what Pre and Supreme like actually do as like general managers, as in like we don't have insight into like whether the decisions they make are good or bad. Supreme was the head coach for a while, didn't turn out as we wanted with that Washington Justice roster. Maybe Supreme is to blame, but like we don't fucking know what his responsibilities are as an assistant GM and how that's going to impact this team, right? I think the natural worry is that it's going to establish some kind of like similar team culture that might bring about a similar kind of like tactical vibe, whether that is like playing slower, like Washington Justice did, play slower, then you make some like poor decisions and foster kind of like a weird team culture. But like there's a new coaching staff, and you have Smurf in the lineup, who is not Mag, who was responsible for a lot of those like initiation or disengaged decisions that Washington Justice struggled with. So, as much as like this team is like Pre and Supreme's assistant GM and Decay's in the lineup, like this is just a completely different team. So as much as we like to bag and like think about that Washington Justice team, I just think this is a completely different circumstance and different responsibilities, different lineup. Like it's just different. Like, we can't draw those parallels, I feel like, anymore, even though there are a few members from that team. And I think that just Smurf being in this lineup, he's going to be able to stand on his own and like be better in that regard than Mag was for Washington Justice and a healthier kind of environment. So I feel great about this Washington Justice. Jesus Christ, this Boston Uprising lineup. I fucking did it.
How many times have you said that over the last few years, Johnny? Come on now.
No, I really do feel like this time it's different for the Boston Uprising. But that's where you get to the damage compartment of this lineup. You have Striker for the third time in Boston Uprising. Decay, who is, I don't even know what Decay is anymore. And you have Birdwing, who, I mean...
He's still a beast.
Birdwing is still a beast as a long-range hit scan, He had some drama with Lana Spitfire early on in the seasons. Then he retired and went to play some Apex for a little bit. But, like... Okay, this lineup right here, okay? Sojourn gets nerfed going into 2023. We'll go into a Winston Genji Tracer meta. Who plays Genji?
Decay.
Decay, yeah, absolutely.
So you play Striker, Tracer, and Decay, Genji? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That was actually an easier question.
Yeah, I mean, I think their pure pool is weirder than that, in that the fact that Striker, like, Tracer, Genji makes a lot of sense, but if you have, like, multi-projectile, or, like, also just anything that's not Genji, specifically, because of the fact that, like, besides Hanzo and Genji, I don't think any other player on this roster has played significant amounts of projectile.
There's a lot of overlap in what they're good at.
Well, in particular with Striker and Decay's hero pool. And then even with and like all of them, because Birdwing's a hard hit scan. All 3 of those players can play hit scan. Both Striker and Decay can play Tracer. Striker has played some projectile. Decay has played Genji and like Hanzo and stuff. Like, but none of them have played any like hard, like very hard like projectile heroes. Like when you think things like Echo, when you think things like Pharah, when you think like so on and so forth. Like that to me is like the more interesting part for this roster is like hit scans covered, Tracer's covered, Genji's covered. Where's the harder projectile flex roles come into play for this team? I would imagine it's probably going to be Decay that plays it, but like it could be Striker. I don't know.
And also, like, sorry, Joss, with Decay on Washington Justice as well, having those moments where he's like, oh, I don't trust my long-range hit scan. I don't want to play a long-range hit scan as much. Okay, what if you tell Decay, it's like, hey, Decay, you gotta play Echo. You gotta play Junkrat. You gotta play, I don't know, like Symmetra. Like, now you're forcing him onto all these different heroes that historically he's been a fantastic Tracer player and, that kind of player. So I don't know how it's gonna go, but this team could help with a 4th damage player, ironically, I feel like.
I will put a caveat to that actually though, with the projectile talk. When is the last time we've seen let me rephrase. More often than not in Overwatch, and especially Overwatch 2, hit scan has been king. And in general, I think moving forward, I think projectile is going to be less and less like must pick, must have than it has been in previous like metas and seasons and stuff like that. You're more likely to see just like a permanent hit scan kind of meta, or unless it's like dive or like Tracer Genji or whatever the fuck. But less Pharah, less Echo over the years than we will see hit scan. I just don't see a point in time in the future. I could be giga wrong. Obviously, metas, balance patches, we don't know what the fuck's going on. But I would, if I were a team builder, a GM building a team, I would rather have a weaker side of projectile and a stronger hit scan a DPS lineup personally, because there hasn't really ever been like back to back where it's like, oh shit, we have to play Pharah, we have to play Echo with Mercy Permapocket.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like, if you just look at Sojourn in the playoffs, you can see how important hit scan players are. Like Kai for Atlanta Reign, like a lot of these players are just like staple pillars of their team because they're just fucking beasts and they carry so many of the time, like the hit scan players. But like for the flex role, you need someone who's like comfortable playing everything like seamlessly, because the moment you have a situation where it's like, oh, Decay is gonna play some projectile heroes and Birdwing's gonna play some projectile heroes, and then you go through the fucking switcheroo of having like multiple hit scan players just so you can flex around some of the projectile players and like try to problem solve like some of the deficiency you have in how versatile some of these players are. That's where like you get into trouble. You need a superstar hit scan player, but then force that player to always play hit scan. Let them always play that role, and then have like this Swiss Army knife that can play everything else and allow them to succeed. Like, that's where you need a proper or a prophet or like what have you, And this team doesn't have that, so I'm worried that they'll get into this fucking switcheroo where they have to like force a couple of these players to play projectile heroes just to fail, and then they can't have a consistent hit scan player.
Well, Decay will be that fill tool, right? Like he will.
Yeah, but can he be that? I guess is the question.
Team. I would say, yeah, he's definitely an above average projectile player. Like looking across the board at the Overwatch League, yeah, we've got some just freak of natures in the Overwatch League, like Proper, who's just sick at everything. But like Decay, I don't think is at a point where it's like, oh shit, we have to get a fucking projectile. I think Decay is serviceable on most of those heroes. Like his hero pool and like things he can play, I wouldn't be like, oh fuck, if we had to pick an Echo permanently, a Pharah permanently, a Junkrat permanently, you know what I mean?
I'm just not that comfortable. I really am not. Like, and if I'm Pre or Dongsu and I'm building this roster, whatever, Pre did say that he wanted to wait to sign a coach to help him build a roster, right? So Dongsu certainly had, his input in building this roster. But like, if I'm a GM for this roster, there's a thought in the back of my head that just like, if this shit doesn't work in like stage 1, we gotta sign someone to like round us out. Because like this could start off wrong, and there's nothing for the rest of the 2023 season that will like guarantee that it'll work itself out, or like we'll figure it out and Decay will figure out the flex roll or whatever. Like, I just don't have that kind of faith in Decay figuring out the flex role for this team.
I mean, there's no guarantee that Striker couldn't figure it out. I think Striker also is.
I just don't think we're ever going to be in a meta where you need a projectile. I think hit scan is just too good of a role, personally.
I mean, we never know where the meta is going to go to. I just also think like
Connor is muted. Connor is muted. Alert.
What?
Is he? No, I can hear him.
What? I'm not muted.
I cannot hear him.
You can't hear him? What the fuck?
I can hear. I can hear him. Speak to Johnny just fine.
Really?
So the stream can hear him.
Okay, great. I've not muted. I don't even know you can mute in this.
Wow, what a scuffed episode. Love it. This is amazing.
Yep. Fantastic.
I can hear you, so you can make your point of us.
Tell Jack to reconnect.
Yeah, Jack, you got Avast is asking you to reconnect.
Try that.
Okay, bro.
He's the only one that's having the problem. Not me, you know.
Oh my god.
Listen, I'm traveling. We're choosing to do Plat chat. We're gonna have some technical issues.
Yeah, we are. It's this or no episode at all. Okay.
Let's go. Okay.
Yeah. See, I think I don't know what happened, but
maybe it's just me. I don't know. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the point being is I think Striker theoretically could be more of a flex player too. I think he's shown some propensity for flexing in the past for Shock. So I don't even necessarily think all the way the world's on Decay. I think it makes the most sense for Decay to bear that, and we haven't really seen too much of him. You know, when all the fans of Justice were sitting at the watch parties, banging on the windows, where is he? Where's Decay? Like, this is their chance, you know, to see Decay in action. So I mean, I don't know. I think this roster has a lot of, like, obviously I'm not worried about Bird Ring as a hard hit scan. It's more so where does that flex role fit, and I think both Striker and Decay theoretically could both be pretty good. It just depends on what happens. And even if they need to sign a player, like, let's be real, like, there'll probably be plenty of free agents to potentially pick up with how the ecosystem currently exists. So I don't know. I'm very excited for this roster, and like it's very much an upside down world for Boston to be having. I mean, look, Boston has Smurf, Izuyaki, Lijigon. Like, imagine saying that any other year. Like, and then even like the rest of the roster minus Striker, who they've had before, like Decay and Bird Ring, like that's crazy. That's like just like it's a crazy roster.
Yeah, I mean, someone from Boston is gonna look at this episode and be like, they haven't even talked about Lijigon, Izuyaki, and Smurf. Like that trio is just insane. Yeah,
like that's what I'm so impressed about with Pre in this particular thing, because like I do think that like I don't like the market right now is very favored for teams. It's very easy for teams to get good talent because there's like so much talent on the market because of the APAC explosion, and like there's not like a ton of big budgets you have to compete against. But to get Smurf, Lijiang, and Izuyaki is like extremely impressive, because that is a core that could build you a championship caliber roster. That's just like an insane core. Like Smurf is arguably like the best Overwatch 2 tank in terms of his overall flexibility currently.
Yeah.
And I'd agree, yeah.
It's like hard to like, and then you've got in Lijiang and Izuyaki, who's been one of the best backline duos ever in the history of the Overwatch League. So it's, and Lijiang I think is like, you know, people underrate somewhat how flexible he is, because like, sure, I don't think he can play flex support as much, but his Brigida and his Mercy and his Lucio are all world class here. You know, like that's very good flexibility.
This roster's winning tournaments for sure. Like if they don't, I think it's a major problem.
Like the name value is there. It should, but so like it's not even a hot take to have skepticism when it comes to this roster, because I think everyone is kind of like on their toes, just like, oh, someone could leave this team like 2 weeks into the season and we wouldn't be surprised, and like something could go wrong when it comes to the damage department. But like realistically, this team should be like top 3 competing for stage titles. Yeah.
Absolutely. Without knowing any of the rosters, obviously, but
we talked about Smurf, Lijiang, and Izuyaki as a trio. I honestly, I would even add Bird Ring to the mix, and like as a quad, just like Smurf, 100%. Izuyaki, Lijiang, and just have Bird Ring be like my permanent player. Goodbye, Avast. And just like that's our 4, and we need to find a 5th. And Striker and Decay are competing for that 5th spot, because I know if Bird Ring is in my lineup and if he plays like he did in 2021, that quad, like Smurf, Bird Ring, Izuyaki, Lijiang, that's going to be like championship caliber, like every single week of the season. And I just need to find out who is my 5th. Who is my fifth versatile player who can fill on the flex role and like bring good performances alongside Birdring? And it's either Decay or Striker. I don't look at it as like a 7-man team. I look at it as like a 4-man team that needs to find a fifth. Avast is gone. Like, Jaws, help.
Hello? No, he's there.
I'm back. Sorry, the camera turned off. The camera turns off, and if the camera gets disconnected, I have to reload the entire thing the entire record because I don't know why. I can't tell you why. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more thoughts on Boston other than I think it's like
they're
insanely good roster.
It's a god squad.
Yeah, it's a good roster. I'm very impressed with the ability. Like I said, I don't think you can. I think people overestimate like, wow, this is like the greatest GMing of all time. And like, well, let's be honest, the market is really, really good for teams right now. You can get a lot of great talent very easily, but I am impressed that they're able to get Smurf, Liu Zhigang, and Izayaki on the same roster. I'm sure they had a lot of other opportunities and offers. So I'm extremely impressed by that aspect of it. And I am still interested to see though, like what the coaching utilization of this roster is going to be. Because sure, the old Justice roster is not, I would not argue, was quite as talented as this roster, but it did have a lot of very high level talents on it and upcoming talents. When you think of like people bringing in like players like Assassin, Vigilante, and
Mag like contenders player of the year.
Exactly, like they had like a very good talent on that roster too. And obviously that was under a Supreme head coach and different circumstances, and now Supreme's more of an assistant GM. But I have a hard time believing that, you know, I'm just interested to see like how they're going to utilize the roster. But it's very clear that the talent here, if they're anything other than fighting for like a top 4 or 5 spot in the league, essentially, like arguably you could really put higher, that's being conservative, then there's a severe failure that's occurring with this roster.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Someone put in the chat that we wouldn't even have this conversation if it was Profit instead of Decay. And they're right. If there was Birdring Profit reuniting on Boston Uprising with Smurf, Izayaki and Liu Zhigang, they'd be right. I mean,
that'd be insanity.
That would be insanity. Yeah.
One of the best rosters of all time.
And so part of me is kind of like 10% of my body is like, why couldn't Boston Uprising just like commit to Profit as well and just have a 5-man lineup and then like sign a 6th, I don't know, whoever, and just play those 5 like all year. But instead we got this Striker Decay mix that I'm like, this is gonna be very entertaining to see how it plays out, because it could go so many ways. It's just I can't wait for the Yiska headlines. That's what I'm saying.
And personally, I'm not worried about Striker from a skill perspective. I'm mostly just worried about him like from a boom perspective. So we'll see, right?
Yeah.
So
but the rumors were that like, or that Striker actually was really good on the Shock in terms of like good skill wise, but also like a way better like teammate than he's been previously in his career for the Shock. You know, so if he can bring that PMA to Boston as a what's the word? Not renewed, as a reformed Striker, like that. That could be really helpful for Boston as well. So, but they should be top 3 championship.
Boston fans have hope for the first time ever.
Holy shit! Yeah, since like 2018, when Avast was on the roster.
Stage 1.
2018 wasn't even like. But the thing is, they didn't start with hope. The initial Boston fans were not hopeful of that roster. There was no hope until you got to like stage 3, and then stage 4 happened. So
really, I mean, stage 2 was all right.
I mean, stage 1 and 2, the results were both the same. I think it was like a positive stage, but nothing crazy. And like there was good matches, obviously, but then stage 3 happened, and that's when everyone was like, "Holy shit!" And then stage 4, it cratered. So, and definitely the initial release of the roster, people thought Boston was going to be dog shit. So,
yeah. All right. Well, moving from the Boston Uprising to the Boston Uprising, Vancouver Titans. What is going on here? We got Vancouver Titans picking up Punk, Faith, and Crimso. Sorry.
And retaining the Spire, obviously.
And retaining
the Spire. So very good start.
Spire. And Ascot is the head coach of this team as well. Yeah. Didn't Barroy used to work for Boston as well?
Yes, he did.
Yeah. They're just picking up the Boston Uprising.
Okay, so Boston is now Titans.
Yeah. Is this a good move? Considering the current free agent market, is this actually a good move? Boston never really found any success, you know? There were some couple of years there where it was interesting, you know, they picked up some curious lineups and like we thought they'd have some chance, but like they were never that good. So why do you pick up Punk, Faith, and Crimso?
There was times where I thought they were pretty good and they were figuring it out. I think Boston was always hobbled by, this year at least, by their, it seemed to be their coaching structure and their DPS. I think like their experiment with their tanks that weren't Punk did not go well. I think their backline was always pretty good. I think their DPS were pretty mediocre, except for like I think maybe was it stage 3 or 4 where they had like pretty decent moments, Valentine and then they got Seeker, who I thought was like actually a very good addition to them. So I overall think that like I feel like it's weird because there's kind of a double standard narrative going on. It's like people were willing. I think people are like, well, it's also weird because like everyone wants to compare this to like London. There's a lot of narratives you could maybe potentially draw on London, but like Boston wasn't as bad as London was when that year when they were doo-doo, and then they kept like Hottie and stuff going into the next year. And now you've arguably taken their best pieces and added Aspire to it, who we all know is really, really good, and you could potentially get more upgrades down the line. So, and then on top of that, like, I still think like they still had flashes of brilliance during this past year when their roster made sense, when it worked out together. Like it wasn't like ever like amazing. They were still pretty bad. They were pretty bad, but like it seemed like what the general consensus is, there's a lot of internal conflict with this team, and Askoff has left that now wanting to build like a Western Centric roster with plus Faith with the players that he's worked with. So I don't know. I'm actually optimistic about this roster. I don't think this is going to be an inherently bad roster. I think Punk has very clearly proven that he's always been a very solid, reliable tank when he's playing. Faith, I think, is one of the best, is a very, very good main support. I've been really impressed with Faith every time he's played. Crimzo is the best Western flex support.
Yeah.
He's really, really good. He's consistently one of the best in stats wise. And Aspire, we all know, is a beast. So like, I don't know. I'm pretty happy for this roster right now. I think if they get some better, if they continue to add to their DPS power, maybe potentially get another tank to round them out, they're in a pretty good spot.
I don't know. I just think as someone who was behind the professional organization meme all year, it's so uninspiring. Like really, you have the biggest free agent market since 2018, and the Vancouver Titans picks up a roster or like piece of roster that achieved this. It's like,
yeah, but the thing is, you have to remember, like the majority, like I think over half of that was them trying to run their Korean squad lineup, and which was really bad.
That was the ridiculous stat line.
Yeah. Sure, but like there's some hopium there. It's just like so apologists just be like, oh, you know, they fielded a Korean main tank and like Mag and like Itzel a couple of times.
Well, also,
and like
if they didn't do that, then good.
True.
Like,
I mean,
Valentine and
Valentine is out of excuses.
Victoria
were pretty mediocre up until they had like one good stage, in my opinion.
So you're saying like the structure of like the tank and supports were good, and if you upgrade damage players, then you got something.
I think once you got Punk in there, and I think, I mean, to be fair, even though we don't like him, we don't think he's a nice person, he's not a good person. MCD had some pretty good moments for this squad too. But like Faith MCD or Faith Crimzo were both pretty solid backline. Punk, when he's in, was like clearly superior tank to all the other tanks they played, synergy-wise too, on top of skill. And like they just had an issue with DPS for most of the year, except for one stage where they had a pretty good moment where they kind of figured it out. But like they were playing those comfort heroes with, I think it was like I think they had like Valentine was playing like that full-time Genji, and like Victoria had gone to the Sojourn. And they had like that really good dive moments initially at points. I don't know. I think structurally there is talent there. Comparatively, like to London, I saw the talent in this squad bringing it up than I did more so in the London rebuild. But that also, London was working with like that high ping. They had arguably one of the worst backlines in the league. You know, like London proved us wrong with their rebuild, and but also they revamped their coaching staff. That's the biggest concern here, right? Is technically, this isn't really a huge revamp for the coaching staff of Vancouver Titans / Boston core. They're still using Askoff, right? Who was that coach for them in there towards the end of the year, where they kind of like swapped from Laurie to a more Western-centric roster. Specifically bringing Punk in, I guess, was the bigger thing. So like, I don't know. I'm optimistic about this roster. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a world beater, but also there's still they're still like, who knows? It very much depends on who else do they get the DPS. Like, what's their next DPS player going to be? You know, because I think Aspire is pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think it's weird. I'm very much in the middle on this. I'm not sure if I have hope yet at all. They'd have to find a literal bulletproof DPS player to round out this roster to be decent, because, like Johnny said, this offseason, and especially the amount of free agents because of APAC, is so terrifying that we are concentrating talent, what looks to be anyway, we're concentrating talent into the NA region, and with all the beasts coming over from APAC, is this roster going to be able to stand up to the concentration? That's true. I don't know if I can have faith in this roster unless they pick up another world star fucking DPS player. And
I mean, they're not Boston Uprising.
So,
yeah.
Exactly.
They really aren't. They really aren't.
I mean, like, really they fucking aren't. What? So if we are going along the lines of the Western theme here, obviously apart from Faith, what Western superstar DPS player stands out to anybody that could make this roster semi-bulletproof, middle of the table team? I don't know, because I do think they have good pieces. I agree with you, Connor. Crimzo is definitely the best Western flexible that we have. Aspire's a beast. Punk has been extremely reliable when he's been in. Oh, wait, what?
Ultraviolet? You said the best Western flex support.
I think Crimzo, the thing about Ultraviolet, he's had 1 year in the league, and he hasn't like perma-played like the entire.
You don't think Ultraviolet has earned it yet?
No, I don't think
Crimzo is
statistically really good.
One of the best Western flex sports players we have, and he has been consistently good.
Yeah, and he's done it on like very bad teams. Ultraviolet's first year in the league was like on an Atlanta
Reign,
was supposed to be an Atlanta God squad.
Yeah, well, they were fucking.
I'm not saying that Ultraviolet's like not comparable.
He's not bad.
I think they're neck and neck right now. But Ultraviolet, I need to see another great year from Ultraviolet where he surpassed Crimzo for me to be like, Ultraviolet is definitely the best Western flex support. Like, he's had a good contenders. He's had 1 good year of Overwatch League, a pretty good year, mind you. Ultraviolet had a great year, but Crimzo has been consistently very, very good and statistically, like Jack said.
All right. I think. Sorry, guys. I think that's kind of blasphemous, but all right.
Okay. Well, anyway, my main point is they need what Western bulletproof DPS player do they have to pick up right now to slot into this roster to make it middle of the pack? I'm just so, if I was this team or a fan of this team right now and like fan of the players, I'd be scared about the concentration of talent that's coming over from APAC. Yeah. Do we know what's happening in APAC? Fuck no. Do I want to know? Fuck yeah. What the fuck's happening over there? But for the time being, we don't fucking know. And what it looks like, people like Boston fucking Uprising are just performing fucking miracles out of thin air. Like, they're like, what the fuck? Like, it's so scary. It's so fucking scary. And like, I do think this roster can do fairly well, but they need just another like sicko Aspire level piece for a DPS to like stand up to some of these
they also need like
of God squads that are currently being made.
Isn't Aspire also, most of his hero pool is like Tracer and Hit Scan? Is the majority of what his Aspire
mid-range scan.
So they really need need a flex player.
What if they pick up Profit?
No, I'm just I mean, sure. I don't think it's gonna happen though. But if I think of like Western flex players, like who is that? Like, we have like
someone mentioned Speedily.
That's not a bad shout, honestly.
Yeah. I just think this roster needs like a little spice. It needs like some MSG to like add to the roster. It needs something to like round out the squad, because it can't just fucking be like the Boston Uprising structure and then like a proven, you know, solid kind of like flex DPS. Like, I want to see like them fucking, you know, going for it by picking up someone
actually a really good shout. I think if Speedily joined this
roster, great.
It wouldn't be at the bottom. We're talking middle of the pack, depending on what other teams start picking up, what other teams are doing. Obviously, we don't know many teams right now, like full teams. We know like half of rosters. Some rosters we haven't got a fucking clue about. So like in general, if Speedily gets picked up and then they pick up, I don't know, maybe like, I'm trying to think. You probably wouldn't pick up another support because Faith is such a good Lucio and Crimzo is a very good flex support. You'd probably either pick up.
No, they probably need a third, you know, flex-ish kind of support. I don't trust, you know, I don't trust Faith if you're like a Sen animator. I'm not trusting Faith.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, maybe another flex support then. But yeah, I'm holding reservation with this team until they actually finish their lineup because I am scared of the concentration.
I am very excited to predict that when we do the power ranking segment for the 2023. I'm very excited to put this team like 15th. Put this like 15th, 16th, and that's I'm very excited to do that. But we'll see who they actually sign. I will say, I mean, with some of these teams cutting budgets as well, we obviously don't know what kind of like budget this team is operating on. I will say, if you don't have a lot of like budget to go on, I will play devil's advocate and say sort of like hedging the risk you take on of like fucking up with the roster by picking up a known structure in Boston Uprising that were like formidable last year, and then maybe saying we can take what Boston Uprising did well and like maybe add 1 or 2 pieces and like make it really good by picking up like Aspire. Like, that is a good kind of like strategy, I suppose, but you're not gonna get superstar performances because not all teams can be superstar teams. So, you know, that's how it is. But
ready for this? Listen to this.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Mr. Jacob Lyon comes back.
No, shut up.
I was gonna say it too.
The flex DPS beast, the Junkrat player.
Someone in the chat said Jake retired, and I admittedly went to his Twitter to check if he retired because I totally believed it, but he did not. So
okay,
there is rumors that because Outlaws made like announcement of like something central to Jake, and then they like revealed a video. It's like once an outlaw with a bunch of Jake photos on it, and then they took it down. Okay. They accidentally so like it seems pretty clear that perhaps Jake is retiring again. But let's be honest, that's never stopped Jake before.
Are they retiring his number again? Are they retiring his jersey?
I don't know what they're doing.
They're gonna retire the jersey.
They're gonna bring it back up. He's gonna put it back up in the rafters again, perhaps. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's gonna be Jake. I don't know. That's
obviously not. I was pissing, but
no, I know, but I'm just wondering. Like, I don't really know what the next if they're sticking with the Western vibe here. I don't. There's not a lot.
They could pick
up Speedly right now.
Glister.
Has Speedly been released from the Reign?
Speedly would be the best pickup.
Was he released from Reign officially?
I don't know.
I don't know, right? I have no idea.
Is he rumored to be with like the AT squad as well?
Well, he might have been. Yeah, that's the other thing. He could have gone to Defiant as well.
Yeah, so he's not. Yeah, he's not signed with the Reign by the looks of it.
Okay. So, like, I don't know. Speedily could go there. Like, Speedily's probably, when I think of the best possible option, unless they're going to poach Kevster, it'll be Speedily.
People are saying Sugar Free as well. I don't know.
Sugar Free hasn't played Overwatch in like 4 years.
Yeah.
Like,
he'll come back, bro. He'll come back, bro.
Still, dude, he's still super fucking good.
He's still good. I'm sure he's still good, but
bring
it's kind
back
of like
King.
It's kind of a left field option. I'm not saying it's like not possible. Sugar Free is obviously a very talented player, but he hasn't played like at a top level in a bit in Overwatch. So like I don't know, it'd be weird.
I don't know. This team could easily pick up like a no name and will be like, all right, you know, that's a good flex player ad, like solid. But I just wish they would surprise me. I wish this Vancouver Titans team would just like surprise me and add someone like exciting. Like
Connor said, just pick up Kevster, bro. There you go.
I mean, if they poach Kevster, think about that. Think if they poach Kevster. Like, okay, fair enough. Like that would be pretty insane. But I don't think it's gonna happen.
No,
that will not happen.
Kevster, no, leave him on the LA Glass. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, actually, transitioning kind of to the Gladiators who are involved in something. Actually, not really. Houston Outlaws. Another team that is just epic, like surprising everybody. Avast goes out again. He'll be back. Don't worry about it. Houston Outlaws picks up Fearless and Shu. Holy shit.
And happy?
And happy. Yes, right.
And happy.
And happy. That's
Christmas Eve, the Christmas Eve gift that was Mr. Happy returning to the fucking roster too, which is insane. And what's that been? 2 years? Is that 2 years since Happy's been on Outlaws, right?
No, he was just on Washington, right? He was the last season of Overwatch 1. He was on Houston, and they beat Shock in the opening match, I think, of 2021.
He was on 2021, yeah. 2021 season, then he was on Justice, then he was on Glad. Yeah.
So now you have a team with Fearless, Pelican Happy, and Shu in the backline.
I mean, that's fucking, again, another fucking scary ass team. It's not like a lot of these, it's not like any of these players came from the APAC region either. We are just making another potential God squad. Dude, the support lineup is going to be fairly interesting. Like, where the fuck do you get a main support right now? Like, what main supports are available is what I...
Yo, what if they pick up Violet?
Ooh.
Violet removed, didn't he remove his Shock branding to troll for like 12 hours or something? Pick up Violet.
He's not moving. He's not going to. No. Shock. No. He's staying on Shock, bro. There's no Shock.
Yeah, he's staying on Shock.
There's no fucking way.
I'm trolling.
But like, this team is
trolling.
another fucking scary one. I do think, though, they will pick up an extra tank. I don't think having Fearless in the roster is going to suffice for like the only tank. He's not like a Smurf in the way that he's hyper flexible. So I'd expect maybe another DPS, and maybe obviously we need another support for sure, another tank, to cover the bases that Fearless doesn't cover. And then I don't know how you feel about maybe just sticking with Pelican and Happy. It feels like they need one more of each role to be.
Yui, I tried to pronounce that correctly, said in the chat that Bliss and Spectra are the rumors, which are very fantastic contenders players.
Spectra.
They are very good. However, I have heard Spectra is entertaining a lot of different offers. What I'd say. So I don't think there's anything confirmed.
Interesting. Okay.
With that,
I think both are very attractive additions.
They're good.
Chorong. Someone said Chorong. Colmok said Chorong to this roster. Holy fuck.
I mean, Chorong would be kind of nasty. It would be a nasty addition. But the thing is, okay, in my personal opinion, it's not that I think Chorong is obviously a better main support player than Lastro was. I think he's like very, very good. But also Lastro brought... Now, granted, actually, Chorong, when he played Zenyatta for Defiant, he actually was pretty decent.
Dude, he was all-rounded.
Yeah, he was really good. Actually, you know what? Yeah, Chorong actually would be a really great replacement for Lastro. I think people are underestimating. I think a lot of people are like, to me, Lastro in a way is almost getting. It's not quite the same, but I think he's kind of getting like the Edison treatment from previous years, where like, even though it's obviously not the same, where like people are like very much underestimating how good he is still. Because like, yeah, he played main support this year, but it was his first year playing main support, and he was really good. He was a very solid main support player, and I think when he could still bust out and be an exceptionally good flex support player, and people kind of forget about that. But I mean, obviously I understand Houston want to get something that's like world class, but I don't think Lastro's out of that equation. Just like how I didn't think Edison was out of the equation from the DPS side.
Well, Lastro went to Gladiators, right? So
yes, he did. Yeah. It's just like I think people are like, well, Houston want to get someone immensely better, right? But there's not a lot of names on that list that I think would be immensely better for Lastro, not just from a main support perspective, but also a flexibility perspective, and like how good he was at flex support too. So I mean, Shu is obviously the best case for like a flex support. Like obviously Shu is like one of the best flex supports in the league. It's just like what other options on main support other than maybe like Chorong or Vindime are there to
Vindime's good
fill that out.
Vindime's a good shout, actually.
Like other than that, I don't really have like I can't think of any other main support options that could be flexible enough to allow you to replace Lastro. There's only like 2 on the list because Chio's on Rain, and there's 2. There's only 2 names I can think of because like we're probably not gonna get any Chinese. I doubt we're gonna see any Chinese main support players, like in North America, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So it's gonna have to be a Korean player, and like off the top of my head, there's only 2 I think that can fill those shoes, and it's Vindime and Chorong. And
if you're aiming to win the entire thing,
you're aiming to like, we want a better replacement for Lastro, or someone that's equivalent or better than Lastro. There's not that many. There's those 2 with Chio off the market and even like Faith out of the market too, right? So
yeah. Is it kind of slanderous to say that like they don't need like a top 3 main support though to still be incredibly competitive? Like if you just operate,
I don't think that's slanderous.
From Fearless, Pelican, Happy, and Shu, like holy shit, you got a great core already. You don't need to be.
Yeah, you still need off tank player. And you still need
that was my next question.
DPS player.
Would you not be comfortable with Houston if they operate with just Fearless as their single
I think if
tank?
they operate with only Fearless, I would not be comfortable with them, personally.
It makes no sense. Like I said before, you need someone like a Smurf if you're only going to run tank. And we saw how Dallas navigated the situation with him and Hanbin. And Hanbin was like the mainstay because most of the time it was off tanks that were meta last year, and then Fearless came in and proved that he was still really good at main tank. You still need to cover that base, like for sure. I would not be happy if this roster launched as is with like an additional support and additional DPS.
What if they picked up Kalios?
Kalios. I mean,
I don't think that's.
It's
awful,
not the worst, but
honestly.
like it's like. Yeah, I would feel less confident in the roster overall.
Okay.
If you have Shu, Happy, Fearless, like, and
Dime's
Pelican,
a fucking main support.
like
you need.
it's clear that you're trying to build a world-class roster, and like I don't know if Kalios is quite. And he's good. He's actually very good, but is he that guy?
I think Kalios is a bit like the Lastro thing, where it's like not. Been in some weird situations. I actually think Kalios, like on the right team, could like be really good. So,
yeah, I mean it's possible.
Someone said Fury, Hotba on Houston would just be.
Hotba.
If you added Hotba to this mix, dude, that would be crazy as well.
Fury would be kind of wild.
Do you think he's washed?
I don't know. I think we're very quick to throw around washed. I mean, also because like Fury was like arguably the best off tank in the game for several years, and then now like sure he's had some downswings, but I'm not gonna throw that accusation out yet. Fury,
I think
personally.
it was a weird time on Philadelphia Fusion where like they did the Bellasaria experiment and it kind of blew up in their face. I don't know if Fury was ever fully tested, and this is kind of the problem. I think we've discussed this in the podcast before. But like APAC as a region is so small, bro. Like so small.
It was a bit of a messed up region, yeah.
Yeah, like I really wished I've said this a billion times, but dude, if we just had one sole region again, like you would be able to tell, I think, where
it's not happening, Josh. Quit the hopium.
I know it's not happening, but like I'm just saying.
It's going to happen this year because there won't be an APAC. So it
could very well happen this year. Yeah, very true. Like, I think it's very hard to tell some players' actual like overall power rankings are where you'd put them in the fucking list because they play an APAC, and that only happens with like more middle of the pack teams and players. I think I wouldn't say Fury's like middle of the pack. If I still had to put him somewhere, he would be up there, but not like S tier or anything. He'd probably like be an A tier tank, but it's still very hard to tell how he do against the rest of the fucking world when APAC is the smallest region and we barely get to see crossplay with him.
I have an idea.
At all.
What about this? Pelicans on the roster. They need an off-tank player. Piggy comes back.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed.
Pelican
come on,
bro.
Drop the trolling stick. Come on now.
No, I mean, I don't think they get.
Jaws is like kind of entertaining it. That's the problem.
No, I
like Piggy as an off tank. I do. I really do.
I don't think I'd actually want Piggy, but I think it'd be really funny if Pelicans like, well, we need an off tank. Piggy, and they just get Piggy back.
Well, I think that would be really funny. I don't think that would be that bad. Okay,
there are better off tanks to pick up.
Hey, with the rumors of the Dallas Fuel explosion, obviously we know, like supposedly the roster. Supposedly he's gonna be revealed tonight in the show match. Like, what if they got like the Fearless Hanbin tank duo?
Oh, I mean, that obviously would be legendary.
Pelican and Happy.
That would be pretty nasty.
Yeah, that would be again another championship level roster. Like,
but yeah, I don't think the roster's complete yet. Is the moral of the story? I don't think the roster's complete. I do also. I think this is kind of a non sequitur, but they announced that like Junkbuck is like now the director of competitive operations. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? And it's like, well, that means that he only answers to the GM and everyone else is below him in competitive. It's like, so the head coach? Like,
no, they have a head coach. They have a head coach. They picked up Neko,
right?
Yeah,
Neko is the head coach, but Junkbuck's above him, and he's not like. I'm sure he's not done with coaching. Like, if he's just another GM, then like it's a very weird situation. So like, I don't know. It's weird. Also, I mean, we have to discuss how Neko is their head coach now after. Like, when you think of his coaching resume so far for Neko, he's been with Charge as an assistant coach, Spark as an assistant coach / player.
And then player, yeah.
This year. And now he's a head coach for Outlaws. Very interesting path. In fact, but I don't think it's inherently a bad pickup. He's had some experience. He's still able to compete, like, even at the Overwatch League level at times. Like, even if it's not, like, amazing, he still shows up and can fill. Even if I don't think it's like an incredible performance by any means, especially when you compare him to like Super Rich on that main support role. But also Neko, he's gone through the fires of the chain crack, the goonery. He's gone through it now, right? So like, I don't know. I think that this is like a really interesting direction for them. But I do feel like Junkbuck's title change is kind of like non sequitur. It would only make sense to me if he had like more teams he was heading.
Yeah, if they're picking up like a Calling All Heroes or a Contenders team or something.
But like,
yeah.
but so I don't really understand like what that is. But
to be fair, they might be. We don't know if they are or not. So that would make more sense if they were planning that in the future. A Calling All Heroes team would be kind of sick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see a couple of Overwatch League teams do that. We've already seen a few. It feels like a very like what you said before, Connor, assistant GM moment. You know, like do they really need this?
Well, that's the thing is like if you're gonna move into those roles generally right now in the Overwatch League sphere, like it's hard to believe they're not also still having coaching duties, like a decent amount of coaching duties. Because if you just have someone like you only need an assistant GM if you were like the resources allocated to this esport and like the current activity are like demanding that level of investment into your like front end structure. But like Overwatch League doesn't. You don't need a purely dedicated assistant GM. That's like insanity.
Yeah, but at the same time, like the responsibilities of a head coach like can be pretty extreme at times. You know, like the schedule is just like off the goop. So maybe this is a move for like Junkbuck to take more of the like the structural kind of like practice environment. You know, practice hours, stuff like that. And Neko is more like, hey, I'm Neko. I'm gonna sit here and like watch the games and like VOD review with you guys and like what comps are we gonna run and stuff like that. And Junkbuck does the more like bird's eye POV. Kind of like how do we operate?
That all makes sense. It's just the titles don't really match up for it. Like if you're like only the strategic coach. I mean, I could. It's always hard to figure out with titles, right? Like I don't know. But that's still it's just it's a non-point. And more so, I was more interested that they brought in Neko as a coach to work with Junkbuck. And he's had like a very interesting coaching career so far in APAC.
Yeah.
And one would argue it hasn't been like insanely successful by any means. And now he's here with what's looking to be a world-class roster, essentially with the Outlaws. So there's a lot of and there's still like good pieces that are missing for this team still. So Outlaws can kind of go up and down with like where like I think they have like an incredibly good starting point, but like their finishing points and like where Neko fits into this roster are going to be very important before you can be like this team's going to be like amazing.
Yeah, I think they have good structure though. I think they're looking pretty good for next year. Pick up a couple of new players. I like the coaching structure, so I have faith in this team. Outlaws fans very happy at the moment. PokeChamp. All right, do you want to talk about the Lastro going to the Gladiators then? Shu leaving the LA Gladiators. How
talk about Glads overall?
Or are you panicking? Does this move alarm you?
I think obviously losing Shu is not great since he's the best flex support.
And Happy was also on the Gladiators for what it's worth.
Yeah, so they've only got one DPS now in Kevster, right? So another DPS needs to get picked up, potentially another support, right? Because Skew was like super good, obviously on Brig. Astro, obviously very, very proficient Lucio player. Lastro is like, okay. Actually, no, of course we're not picking another support. This is like the support lineup. It does suck. It does feel like a little bit of a downgrade. I'm not sure how it's going to end up panning out. I'm more like looking at the DPS thinking, who the fuck can they pick up? If they do a fucking crazy one. We've known Glads to do crazy shit before in the past, like with pickups of DPS, Arns, fucking Bird Ring, etc. Are they the team that is going to pick up Profit? Are they the team?
I mean, if you can think of a team, I mean, but the thing is, if they so they have rostered right now. They have Lastro, Funny Astro, Base, still
Skewed,
right?
Reiner, Kevster.
Skewed, Reiner. I thought did they not release, because isn't the rumor that Skewed might potentially be going to Outlaws? Isn't that a rumor?
I don't know. I just pulled out the Liquipedia.
That's just Liquipedia. Okay, so either way, like with that roster, so you have a Hyperflex. You're still missing, like they only have one. That's still only currently one DPS player, right? With Kevster.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get Profit Kevster, you can play everything.
Yes.
You literally can play everything.
The world's your oyster if you have those two. Like,
yes, it's more so like, do you think those are hard enough hit scan players though? Potentially, I would say you can definitely still compete with those two players for sure.
Yeah,
I think you'd be fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If I had a Kevster and Profit as a DPS line, don't care what the meta is. Literally, don't give a shit. Because they are that good. Oh, are you kidding me? Dude, how does this keep happening? Why are you now mute for me? This just sucks. I don't know. I think it's me. It must be at this point. Bro.
Do you want to try reconnecting?
Why is everything falling apart when Scott's not here? Makes no sense.
Johnny, tell Jack to reconnect. He can't hear me.
Oh no, you guys fucked it. I was gone for 2 minutes and you fucked it.
I didn't do it. We were talking to each other.
It wasn't my fault.
Sorry,
am I in the fucking cables?
Reconnect.
There he goes.
I was gone for 2 minutes. And
we were discussing the I don't know what happened. It seems like it was fine. And then Jack says, I can't hear you. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
For fuck's sake.
Now you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can.
That's so weird.
I don't know what's going on today.
Because weren't we literally just talking to each other right before that? And then it just like,
yes, we were.
That's so strange.
Yeah, like I was saying, I don't give a shit what meta it is. If you have Kevstar and Prophet, it doesn't matter. They are so good. It just wouldn't matter. If you have a fucking double flex, if you have hard hit scan, Widowmaker, fucking Junkrat, it doesn't matter. Like, they are just so good individually. I don't think you should be worried at all. If Prophet, of course, gets picked up. Like, obviously.
That would be crazy.
Oh,
that would be crazy. But
that's like probably my top destination. If I got to pick one team that Prophet goes to, the Glads would just be like...
Glads would be ridiculous.
Glorious.
I mean, it would be insane, but also I feel like there are other... I mean, Prophet can go anywhere, but like... I mean, there's still other rosters where I could theoretically imagine Prophet going to, right? I could see Prophet going to, like, Fuel. I could see Prophet going to...
We'll see what that Fuel looks like, but...
Yeah, exactly, right? But I could see Prophet going to, like... I mean, technically Outlaws isn't off the table by any means. Like, there's still options for Prophet to go, but I think Glads would be, like, an insane one because you'd probably have the two... You'd have, besides obviously Proper, you'd have, like... You have 2 of the 3 God Hyperflexes.
Yes.
In the league on one team. So like that would be pretty insane. I mean, theoretically, if you're looking from your GM brain, if you needed money to get Profit, and you're like, well, we can make, obviously we would lose Shu, but like, you know, we remove Shu to get Lastro type of thing for maybe budgetary reasons. Right. Maybe. This is obviously just purely hypothetical. There's no basis.
No, I mean, Gladiators, like, you know, people speculated they shell out some money for their stars.
But so. I could see it, right? I could see it of like, okay, like, what would we rather have? Would we rather have Shu, or would we rather get an extremely flexible player that still is very, very good, but now we have the budget to get Profit, right? Like, you know, I don't know. As a GM, like, that's a hard call to make at times, if that was what happened. I'm not saying that is. I don't think that's a completely hypothetical, but it's more so just I'm wargaming it there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I personally think that, once again, Shu is obviously, many people think he's like the best flex support. You know, he's definitely in contention for that no matter what. Like, losing that's big for Glads, but they've still retained a lot of key pieces. And I don't think Lastro is... I think people are bagging on Lastro for a lot more than they should. It's like, I still think his flexibility plus his actual flex support capability is still very, very high. Like, obviously we know his flexibility is high, but also I think people are underrating how good his flex support mechanics are. It's just we've seen him on a year on main support.
Which he did great on, by the way.
Which he did great on, yeah, exactly. And like, it gives them the option as well to potentially like insert in metas, like you play Lastro and maybe another flex support player if they get another one, versus having to put Astro in, who like is not gonna. He's like great, obviously on the traditional main support roles, but he wouldn't be able to flex like a double flex support type of thing. So like, there's a lot of opportunity that gives them.
Thank you.
Forget about it.
You cut out a bit, yeah, but yeah, we kind of got the gist. Yeah. Goodbye, Avast.
Why is this episode so fast?
I don't know. Well, he's sitting on Wi-Fi. To be fair, he's on Wi-Fi on a laptop. Fair. Yeah, so that's fair. Yeah, but you know,
what the? What?
My Wi-Fi is cutting out.
Yeah, that's all right though.
We're just Halo 3 trying to kick people for host, bro. I don't know.
I know.
The one team I
have a strict Nat type.
Want Profit to go to is actually the Shock, because we kind of like know what that would look like. We know that the Shock would, with Proper and Profit, would just be like, oh, this is one of the best teams of all time.
Okay.
We just like expect the best, but like, because of that, because I like almost know what they would look like, I want Profit to go to like some experimental team with like some new exciting stuff happening.
Can I just add on top of that, Johnny? That shit gets fucking boring. Like, I want to see some crazy bullshit stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you just
bullshit stuff,
dude, it does. Like, I don't want to see one team just be a fucking god squad, and that's why I was super happy with like Dallas this year, like winning the whole fucking thing. I said it at grand finals. Dude, I was like, if Shock win this, it would be kind of cool, right? It's like, wow, the most dominant team in Overwatch League history. But like, the way Dallas Fuel ended up winning, we went the whole fucking distance. It was a way better fucking storyline. Just way fucking better. It's cool to have a team like super dominant. Yeah. All the popular players, like obviously Proper is now becoming like one of the more popular players in the league. Surprise, surprise, because he's a sicko player. But if Profit went to like Shock, it would be so fucking boring. Like it'd be such a boring timeline.
It would be like, amazing to watch, but like, come on,
Shock
we could have had so many exciting teams. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, just give.
Well, you still have to have like a great tank and support line to back that up, right? So, like, you're not gonna only win with the best DPS players.
Yeah, sure,
right?
but like, I'm not talking about like doing the best. Like, oh yeah, like this team is doing super sick. Like this team is really well rounded and shit like that. Dude, I'm talking WWE shit. Like, give me some fucking spice. Put a Profit on fucking Vancouver Titans. Put him on Gladiators.
No,
just some, obviously not, right? But like, put him on a team that's like, it sparks like, oh shit, okay, that's kind of sick. Not like, oh, okay, they're just like hoarding all the best players. Like, from a purely like entertainment standpoint, you know? This is why I love offseason in this regard, because we get to do these episodes and be like, the fuck is happening? Like,
well,
where
also,
the fuck's this team? Speculation and shit.
Like, I feel like there's still an issue with Glads too, in the fact that like, okay, like yeah, they maybe made some slight downgrades potentially in their support department, or potentially large, even like big downgrades in terms of the pure flex support area with Shu, but what you still need the DPS, and also like, would you stick with Reiner Space as your tanks still?
I mean,
what tanks are currently at the top of the free agent list, in your opinion?
I mean, theoretically, like, I mean, I don't even know. I can't remember who all is like.
I can't even remember
right
free
now.
agent tanks, to be honest.
Can't remember all the free agent tanks currently that are available. But I mean, you still have Fate out there, technically.
Yeah.
Fate is a free agent. You have from APAC. You also probably have like, who knows with the Chinese players. So like, it's really tough to tell. Like, but you do have.
Max, although rumored to go to Shock, is still available.
There's
Dante
Max.
to Gladiators.
Dante, yeah.
There's Mag, right?
All right.
Kaluge. There's, the thing is, when I'm really thinking across the board, you have like Hotba, you have Fury, Helen.
Fury would be an interesting pick for Gladiators.
It's just like when you think about that, like for me, I don't necessarily think I'm necessarily looking for a replacement for Space though. I'm still pretty confident in Space personally.
So am I. Yeah.
It's more so I'm thinking about like for Reiner, like I don't know if it was a Gladiators like issue or if it was a player issue per se, but like he didn't seem outside of those hard Doomfist Winston areas. He didn't seem like he had the oomph to get them like to be like a Smurf tier tank. Or even like, and then also like even for like Hanbin, who like exercised a bit of a hero pool to learn some like Winston and stuff, like, but his other off tanks were so amazingly good. Like, I don't know. I don't know if Reiner, like, if it was just an issue with like the year, like it's his first year in, it's a rookie year. He didn't like, maybe he needed like a slightly different environment or like some growth. It's interesting if you want to commit to the Reiner experiment. And also, there's the rumors that theoretically he would go to like Defiant, right?
Yeah.
To do that American Tornado reunion. So like, I don't know. Like it's there's when you think of the tank possibilities. To me, when I'm thinking of all that, it's like I don't necessarily know if I want to get a Space replacement, but I would want a very flexible tank replacement. And like, there's very few on the market that meet that requirement. Like, there's like essentially maybe like Dante if you put him in a tank role still, but even so, I wouldn't really keep him as a main tank. Then like Kalios and maybe Fate and or Mag, maybe
Muse is there too.
There is Muse too. Actually, that's true. Muse is still available, but I don't. But mostly he was like a Winston Doom player for them, which was a kind of Reiner's hero pool last year too. So I don't know. The tank situation is pretty interesting because like you really want that hyperflex tank, and there's just not very many of them.
Yeah.
There's only a few, and one of them's on the Boston Uprising now.
Yeah.
So. It's I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to them committing to another year with Reiner just to see if they can build this hero pool out.
Yeah, well, I would much prefer teams stick at least with like, especially in players' rookie years. I'd rather a rookie stay on a team for 2 years back to back to see if, you know, a slight change to the roster can kind of help them out and like build them back up into like a tank people were kind of promised, I guess, in certain situations. I mean, maybe not Reiner, but yeah, I would much rather see him stay on the Glads and then build another, like not another team, but like other bits and pieces around him to then suit the team a little bit more. Rather than like, because I feel like this happens all the time with rookies where they get picked up initially and then they get dropped and then they go to another like weird conglomerate team and they just kind of not conglomerate, a weird amalgamation team, and then they end up just falling out and then going nowhere basically. I'd rather see like consistent growth on a single team for a rookie. I think that's way more beneficial, and that's the way I'd look at it if I was like a GM on shit like that. But I know what you guys think about that kind of methodology about rookies.
Well, I think someone like Reiner, I think people were kind of like desensitized to giving rookies a lot of extra shots in the Overwatch League. It's like sometimes the rookie comes in, doesn't blow us away. We're like, okay, next new toy. The toy
yeah, exactly.
Like, Rob, like, okay, new player. Well, Reiner clearly had like the contenders talent and even talent this year at the Overwatch League level to be like, I'd be willing to give it another shot, right? It's more so I'm posing the thought question of like, there just really isn't a lot of people to replace, like to really get that, to fill that really great hyperflex tank spot. Like especially when you have Space on the roster, who like when you think of like a pure off tank, it's like I'd probably love to play Space, but then like, do you want to just turn Space into Hanbin and like have him learn more Winston, right? Because like that made that's what really helped out Fuel a lot, was like when there wasn't a pure Winston meta for them, they could just play Hanbin the whole time. While Glad's went the opposite direction, is like we'd rather commit to Reiner just like learning Doom so we could have our main tank in to flex when we need to. So there's tanks on the market I think could fit it. It's just like, what do they prefer? And like to me, when I look at it from the outside in, I'd be like, I would still be willing to give Reiner another year and just commit to that tank. But I'd also like them to try to incorporate Space more into their lineups.
Yeah, I mean, this American Tornado rumor is like so obnoxious because like everyone keeps talking about it, but we don't really know what's happening. We don't even know if it's true, but it seems like everyone just talks about it. So assumingly like they will go somewhere, and like Reiner will probably be a part of that mix. So I don't know.
Probably.
I think that would also be pretty cool, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be awesome, but like
as much as I kind of said you should definitely stick on the same team twice as a rookie, but I think it'd be kind of cool.
But it's hard to discuss those players because we don't really know. Like they're just like sectioned off, and we're waiting to see if there's an announcement at some point. But yeah, I don't know. Tank role is definitely the hardest to this offseason. So we'll see if someone gets the bag maybe.
Yep, Glads though, I think users will probably be like confident they'll probably be good, but like are they necessarily going to be without Shu? Like, and you've already taken Bird Ring and Happy off the market, unless you were to get someone like Shy or something, right? Like,
come on, Jesus.
I mean, there's APAC talent on the market, you know, like
there is,
there is.
That is a big question actually. Where do some of these superstar Chinese players go? Oh, Fitz.
Imagine Fitz.
Interesting.
Fitz Kevster.
Fitz would pop the fuck off. He's so good. So. I mean, and even like obviously, I doubt. Who knows what's happening with Philly, right? But like theoretically, if you were somehow, I think they already confirmed that like Imin3 or Zest are coming back. I don't know. But like, imagine if someone
everyone
were to
except those two.
Yeah, I think they might have done that. But like, you know, theoretically, if they had managed to get some of those, like there's talent out there. There's definitely talent out there to where they could.
Talent is there. Imin3 and Zest are still on the roster apparently. According to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So according to that, so they probably wouldn't get them. But you know, like Fitz would be an example of like that would be a player. I'd be like, okay, like I could see them going to the Glads. Kai, sure, I could see Kai.
The Hunter connection from Atlanta Rain.
Yeah, Hunter connection from Atlanta Rain. It's just if I were to choose between Kai and Fitz, I feel like I would take Fitz right now, personally. But I don't think Kai would be a bad shot. And also maybe like in a different environment with like a different coaching staff and team, Kai could just like have that resurgence to form where he's once again one of the best hits can in the league. He was still really, really good last year. It's just like you don't necessarily put him in like that he's vying for the top spot, but he was still a very, very good player.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Gladiators, they struggled so much with the like hit scan this past year because like they had Potifan for a while. They had Happy, Shoojern was in there for a little bit. They had Ans, of course. Ans had some great moments, especially like mid-season madness, winning the trophy and stuff like that. But I feel like if I was building this Glads roster, I'd just be like, please, for fuck's sake, just give us like a solid hitscan player that we can just play all year, and we don't have to worry about that. And Kai would be someone that I could just try, trust with that.
British player.
Wait, double British? Wait, what?
Astro.
Oh yeah.
2 British lads on the roster. I'll be down. Always down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm glad you should be skeptical. I think if you're looking at Glads versus Houston right now, I feel like you might be. It's like if you compare like which one do I feel like is gonna be that contender of like, oh, they're the new kid on the block fighting for like a very top 4 position here in terms of like the rebuild or even a top 3 position. Because like the clear front runners are what, like if you think of like the current rosters we know, we have like Rain and Boston, honestly.
Yeah.
And then like who knows what's happening, Fuel or Shock, right? But we don't know what's happening to the rosters yet, right? We won't know until maybe like
Shock
tonight.
will probably be great, you know.
Shock probably
especially
will
if they
be
pick
great.
up a couple O2 Blast players.
So it's
really shaping up to be just a wacky time.
Wacky fucking year.
Honest.
If you follow NA Overwatch League, you're gonna have a good time. If you follow APAC Overwatch League,
you're gonna have the worst time.
I don't know, man.
Dude,
the worst time of all time.
What the fuck? Yeah,
we don't know what's in for you.
It's interesting. There are God squads currently forming, and that's the most exciting.
I do think overall all the rosters are going to be pretty good because of this APAC explosion. It's just more so who gets the best synergy / somehow gets the best overall players. Because like when you look to it right now in terms of like highest concentration of holy fuck talents, like Rain and Boston seem to kind of have popped off with that. When you have Shio, Fielder, Lip, fucking Hawk, Stalker on one roster. And then you have Izayaki, Lijiang, Smurf with a return of.
Was it Deepe who tweeted like, I think next year will be one of the worst?
Worst ones, yeah. I think that might have been before the APAC explosion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Like the APAC explosion kind of changed the whole landscape. I'm sort of in agreement in certain aspects with that, but then APAC exploded, so like it kind of just made it unfair because now you had like 13 teams trying to put 20 teams worth of talent into them.
I mean, I was kind of the opinion that like 2022 will go down as like the worst year for competitive Overwatch in terms of like the gameplay, because like the teams couldn't practice the fucking game outside of scrims, and like you could see that like that really deteriorated some skills and like made for less substitutions and stuff like that, right? So actually being able to fucking play the game in your spare time outside of scrims, that will just massively up the level of play next year. So that was my opinion on it.
Yep.
So I didn't really like that tweet. But if you're talking about like team building and like putting good rosters together, like yeah, maybe, you know, we'll see what happens with especially the bottom teams, the ones who aren't able to grab these star-studded lineups. Like if you're the Vegas Eternal, like who the fuck knows?
Okay, let's now in context compare Vegas to Boston right now. Like compare those rebuilds.
Yeah.
Like because Boston, they weren't as bad as Vegas by any means, but they were really bad still throughout most of the year. They were pretty bad, and like now they have a potential, like in the right universe, a potential championship roster. You know, like
it's the come up of the century.
That is like, insanity.
Insane. The greatest come up that we've ever seen, I think. Overwatch is.
Holy shit! Wow.
Yeah. So if I was one of you 2 Vegas fans out there, you're living sad currently. But what other free? Do we want to talk rumors to MCD to replace Fielder on Fuel?
I mean, yeah, people are speculating that one of the silhouettes in like they're having that show match tonight. Yeah, they're having the show match tonight between Dallas Fuel and San Francisco Shock with some like throwback rosters. I think Shock has like Architect in the lineup or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's also weird because they put Rascal in the lineup, but Rascal's just commentating the game.
Oh, he is? That's funny.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just commentating the game, and they have him in like the lineup.
Yeah.
So.
Like our commentator.
That's really funny. Yeah.
That.
So but people are speculating MCD will be one of the silhouettes for Dallas, and that would think that would confirm that MCD is part of Dallas Fuel in 23.
Yeah, I mean, well, also it's weird. It makes sense in a way because like MCD has the Element Mystic connection to Rush if Rush stays with Fuel, because also there's no guarantee Rush stays with Fuel still. No one really knows that respect, but like. He has the Element Mystic connection. He honestly, despite don't get me wrong, he he said some not so good things. I would argue that he was a very perhaps
not the most popular person.
Not the most popular person with certain groups, and that were quite deplorable aspects. But on a pure gameplay level, he was honestly pretty good at points this year. Like, he was a pretty solid player.
Stable.
Yeah, he was a stable player. So I don't know. I mean, like, is he fielder? No, not fielder. But how many other players are there to really replace fielder on the market right now?
There aren't many at all.
I don't think MCD would fail the Dallas Fuel if he were to be on that team. Like, I don't think MCD would be like the worst part of that team. Like, I don't think they would lose games because of MCD. Like, he's stable. He's all right. He's not exciting. Like, I don't know how many jerseys MCD have sold in his career.
I mean, who knows how much fielders even sold either. But like, either way, maybe
some,
maybe some. I just think I think it's honestly not the most ridiculous rumor ever. But I don't know. I just want to know. Honestly, I just want to fucking know what Fuel's roster is. I just want to know what Fuel's fucking roster
is.
Is
this
off-season vibes?
So for the run back, is it their roster that they're fielding? Is that the like confirmed roster? Or
supposedly, kind of so according to the tweet by I think Shock made the initial announcement.
It's Shock's confirmed roster, right? Who they're bringing on.
So for Shock, it says that we're teaming up, blah, blah, blah. The most new Shock roster versus the Dallas Fuel. I don't know if the Dallas Fuel said anything that they are. I don't know if Dallas Fuel has said anything about they are committing for sure showing their roster though.
Yeah.
New Shock roster, best of 7 with the twist on LAN, live from Korea. That is pretty cool though. It's on LAN. That's
so Shock roster is confirmed going to be their roster, but the Fuel have not said that this is going to for sure be their roster.
Wait, so Architect is on the team next year for Shock?
Well, I don't know about that.
Hold on.
I'm not.
I mean, I guess we'll find out.
No, I don't think
tonight,
that's what it is.
Right?
Didn't they post their thing? Didn't they?
They put like a silhouette out.
I saw like a roster tweet this morning.
Oh, Emong's on the team? No fucking way.
Yeah,
Emong's on the team.
Guys.
No way, bro.
Wow.
No way.
He's also gonna be playing on Switch, and he'll be playing with the gyroscopic.
Dude,
control.
I watched him play Switch Overwatch the other day on this stream. Dude, he was just playing ball. I'm like, how the fuck can you kill ball on Switch or on controller? Like, Jesus, man. That shit's fucking crazy.
The Rascal is in the Shock jersey.
So yes, but I was reading that the Rascals was commentating though.
Yeah, look at the top row, right?
There's fucking Smurf.
Yeah, Smurf's there, and then Architect and Rascal, right? So I'm kind of thinking maybe Architect and Rascal have nothing to do with the team, and they're just kind of chilling, and they just like more
Smurf,
of a fan
other
thing.
than that he used to be on the team, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? So I'm thinking like Violet and the bottom 5 are the team. That is the way I'm reading it.
Yeah, I feel like that makes more sense.
I don't know. But then if you were to design the graphic, I'm like, well, you'd put all the players that are our team at the bottom. Like, why is Violet up there? Like, I don't fucking know, bro. I don't know.
It's a very bizarre way of like doing this, and it has not super
put it this way, we'll find out this evening. So we don't exactly have long.
Because also the Fuel still, it clearly can't be Fuel because they still have like Fielder and stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, and you know.
So we've just been ultra baited with these lineups and.
Maybe. Yeah. I'm honestly unsure about like, because also like, I mean, you know, also when you think about like flex players that could be looking out, you know, who else is a flex player that could be looking for a team is fucking Doha.
Yes.
Doha is the flex player that you could, when you think about slotting him on the rosters, like Doha is off the Fuel now too. So like, tell me.
You're gonna be co-streaming this, right, Avast? Your camera cut off beautifully right here.
In my mid-rage.
That's gorgeous.
In my mid-rage, I am gonna be watching this, and hopefully I'll see how angry I get.
He's gone.
It's gonna be epic.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm actually flying tonight, so I'm going to miss this. So this is amazing. The one time a match is happening in the off season, I'm actually fucking flying. So that's.
Are you back, Connor?
Probably.
Yes.
Oh, you got a different mic, bro. You are scuffed right now.
This is the good one.
What? You guys don't like this microphone?
Shut up!
This is the Shure FM7B, right?
What? I mean, this is my studio level mic.
Dude, the people listening are oh my god.
Guys, I love.
Holy shit! For fuck's sake!
Most scuffed episode ever.
Oh shit! My fucking thing turned off now too. God damn it!
All
I got
good.
to reconnect again.
All good.
Oh my
Johnny,
god! What?
move us on.
Move us on. I mean, we don't. I don't know. Well, we can just chat shit about the game if you want, but like, I think that was most of the.
I'm good at that.
I think that was most of the esports news. I mean, the Pacific Showdown ended and O2 Blast won by just sweeping shit. So that's pretty uninspiring.
Yeah, I mean, O2 Blast just the best.
They're good.
I mean,
pretty good.
Are they now the best? Like, I don't actually.
That's what Avril thinks, right? Avril thinks like
are they the best contenders team of all time, essentially?
Something like that.
They've got to be. At this point, they have to be.
Some runaway fan in the chat is gonna lose their minds, but screw them.
Yeah, I mostly just need to know. I don't know what their like in terms of metrics and winningness, like how they stack up against like other like all-time rosters when we view like runaway, like American Tornado, Fusion University, British Hurricane, right? Like I don't really know like what the like. I would definitely assume that O2 Blast is way better than like several of those rosters, but I just don't know exactly how they stat up.
Yeah, I think Avril made the case that if they win the Pacific Showdown, they're the best contenders team of all time. Or at least they made like the triple thing where like they won all of the contenders tournaments and then they won the global one. But yeah, as we said then last episode too, like it was probably easier to do that in 2022 out of all the years too. So who knows? But yeah. Few of them will probably be promoted to the Overwatch League. Oh, we forgot to mention as well that the age restriction thing, it's now the minimum age is 17 now instead of 18.
Yeah, we forgot about 17.
We forgot to mention that, yeah. So, you know, a lot of these contenders players who are 17, for example, could now go play in the Overwatch League.
It's pretty good. Yeah. I don't know why it was 18 to kind of begin with. Legal thing?
Legal things, yes.
Well, have they just stopped? Have the legal issues resolved suddenly?
I do not know. I know very little.
It's been years, maybe. I don't fucking
because
know.
even now, like VCT, like for Valorant, their franchise unit's 18.
Oh, is it? Didn't know that.
It's 18. Yeah, it's 18 to participate in their main circuit, in the VCT circuit.
Because League of Legends has been 16, I think.
I know very little on this topic.
I think.
So I don't know exactly what the legal lease is for that, but it's very interesting. I also find it I do find it funny. I've heard a lot of knee-jerk arguments of like, well, these players are going to be so exploited. They're only 17. I'm like, well, let me tell you, the players are being exploited at their 18 or 19 as well. They don't get magically smarter when they're 18. You know, you think 17 to 18 is not.
Nothing. You are the same person.
You're essentially the same person. Like it's just a legal definition. Like I remember when I was 17 and then I turned 18. I was like, wow, I'm like looking back, I was like, I was still really stupid. The same amount of stupid and inexperienced in both those
I was
years.
like, I can drink now. You can't because you're American, but I was like, pog, beer.
So I don't know. I don't think that necessarily shifts it. I am interested to see like what the reasoning is like and what has changed. Like that's one of those things where I'd love to understand the thought process behind it and like what led to this like shift. Especially when a lot of the contemporaries are, at least like your most obvious contemporary for VCT is now enforcing an 18 rule like limit for their VCT partnership. So like I don't know, like it's very interesting to me that like we moved it now. Also, by the way, I'm gonna rant. Why did we do this fucking halfway through the? Here we go. Let me do something real quick. Why do we do this like halfway through the off season? Again, like why is the off season like why was this decided halfway through the off season when now we're doing 17-year-old players? The rosters were constructed. They were constructed. The rosters were made. Like why now 17? What is the purpose? I don't understand. I actually don't understand.
It's good.
Like what is why now? Why not just do it at the beginning of the off season? And it sounds like none of the GMs knew about this. They're very much ahead of time either. So like, it's just strange. It's bizarre. It's just bizarre. It seems like
that, you'd announce that straight after grand final / season ending.
Yeah.
Hey, for next year, by the way, we're doing this. Yeah, it seems very strange. Like right up on that roster deadline kind of thing.
I don't know. So I don't know what it's one of those things where I'd like to know the reasoning for any of this.
It seems like there is a lot of commotion this off season. A lot of stuff is happening and things are changing quickly, and it's leading to very tumultuous kind of like turn of events, and you know, changes in the rule set and the way you do things, and it's unacceptable. But like, I don't fucking know, man. Like, it's just this Overwatch League situation with NetEase and the licenses, and it's I don't know, man. It's completely thrown the entire fucking off season for a loop, and some people might be like, hey, fuck the Overwatch League. I don't know. I'm not really on board with that. You know?
Some people be like,
yeah.
Fuck the
I mean,
Overwatch
there were people on the SK or whatever did that rant about like Overwatch League killed Overwatch. Like, okay, that's fair. But you know, I don't know. This is what we're doing, and hopefully, when the regular season starts in 2023,
I didn't watch that rant. Was that rant related to the competitive ecosystem or to the game, the casual ecosystem?
It was very hyperbole. It was just like Overwatch League killed Overwatch. I just watched the clip, okay? Apparently they did like a long podcast about it, and
because
like they talked a little bit about it.
You could at least make an argument for like, okay, how it pertains to the competitive ecosystem, but like if it's anything to do with like, this is why they balance the game for the pros. I don't think SK is that dumb either.
No, the main takeaway in the clip was that like it killed all kinds of like tier 2 competition and like open tournaments and like all that like connection from pro play and Overwatch League to the actual community, and like content creators like have no opportunity to like create or like compete in this ecosystem and like make exciting content, and like that Overwatch League is so closed off that it's really like shut out like a large portion of what makes a good competitive game and community.
I mean, I think that's fair from a competitive ecosystem standpoint. I was glad because I didn't think SK was dumb enough to be like, they're balancing the game for the pros. Mercy is so underpowered. Why do they not buff? You know, like, you know, I thought I was gonna be in one of those casual rants about like how, well, you see in the Twitter comments of the Play Overwatch tweets where someone with like a fucking Genji X Cassidy fanfic profile picture is like, if you guys hadn't built it, if you guys hadn't made esports, the game would be a lot.
Yeah, and to be fair here, I mean, we're doing the fucking ESPN first take shit when we're just like talking about a single clip when there was an entire podcast and like several opinions like thrown out.
But you've already said that essentially it was related mostly to the clip.
I didn't watch the podcast, but like the clip was related to, you know, the closed off ecosystem of Overwatch League. And
yeah,
like,
and I'm not gonna. I mean, that's like a fair enough point to debate. That's at least could be grounded in reality. But when it comes to like the balance, the choices for like the overall game as a whole, as a product, like, yeah, when people say like Overwatch League somehow factored into that in any capacity outside of like a 1%, then they're just they need to be banished to the Blizzard forums.
Yeah,
never to be seen again.
I mean, yeah.
I would love to see the alternate reality where like, you know, we got open tournaments running and like the community is able to participate in a better way, but like you're not going to be able to just like straight up convince me without having seen it that Overwatch Esports without the Overwatch League would just like flourish and we'd be in this fucking dream world where like we're popping off and we're like our tournaments are insane and like the Overwatch Esports scene is fantastic because we're running open tournaments and the community is invested. Like you can't convince me that would be the case.
What other game does that?
Well, like, you know, people always, you know, compare us for good reason to Valorant. Like if we had more open kind of qualifiers and systems but you know, if we exactly mirrored one-to-one copied Valorant system and what they're doing, like you can't just tell me that like Overwatch Esports would be in a much better place. Like I don't know that for sure. Like I don't think anyone knows that for sure. And so like I hate when this is okay. Now we're really painting with broad strokes here. Now we're painting with broad strokes. I hate when people make these fucking arguments about like, oh, what could have been, what would have been, and like bring up fucking old nostalgia pink tinted glasses kind of bullshit and just like, oh, we would have been much better off if this was the case. Oh, you know, if we didn't do this, blah 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 blah, and they just like throw out this fucking golden, you know, dream scenario. It's just like, dude, just because like you would do things differently doesn't mean like it would just instantly be better. You can't just throw out this fucking loosey goosey fucking dream scenarios because you like changed a little thing here or like altered the ecosystem. Like, no, there's no fucking guarantees, and like, so stop talking in fucking absolutes that we're in this awful shithole and like with any kind of difference in terms of like balance or philosophy or esports structure or game structure or balance ratio or like you can't just fucking everything is not going to be fucking great just because you like change this in your fucking mind. And so they're just farming likes and attention based on these fucking dumb arguments.
I mean, in general,
and it doesn't relate only to this thing that, you know, it doesn't only relate to the esports ecosystem, but like it relates to everything, like fucking roadblock and like the way you balance things and like 5 versus 5, 6 versus 6.
Classic tweet, baby.
Yeah, the game would have been so good if Roadlock had. It was in its purest form before Roadlock. I'm like,
go play OpenQ, bro. No. You tell me that's not a fucking the most painful experience in all of Overwatch.
Absolutely not.
If you want to go back to fucking DreamHacks and ESLs, like we had that DreamHack tournament with fucking DreamHack Winter 2016 or whatever. Or if you want to go back to APAC tournaments, if you're going back to the online Overwatch tournaments with, third-party host for like $10,000.
D.Va stall on Hanamura last. Coming out the spawn doors, 6 D.Vas are just rolling through endlessly. Just the endless stall.
If you want to farm likes, go ahead. But I think you're making a fucking bad faith argument, just like envisioning.
In general, absolutes never work for almost anything. Ever. And I think a lot of people, especially on Twitter, and whether they're big names or they're like 2 follower Andys with that Genji X McCree fanfic profile picture. Like in general, people I think struggle to see anything outside of their own lens. And it's very hard it's quite hard to articulate although you can make threads, right? You can fucking make threads on Twitter. It's not like you only restricted to
Aren't they increasing the character count now? Where we can have like a parrot, we can have like a model.
Well, yeah, but like it like in general, it's a little bit more hard. It's a little harder to kind of articulate points across without sitting down what we're doing, which is like discussing it. But then Johnny as well at the same time playing slight devil's advocate. We not so much Connor, but like me and you are more likely to side with things that are more beneficial to the Overwatch League and the Overwatch League ecosystem because that's our livelihoods, right? But then...
Sure, I mean, we got skin in the game. Like, our livelihoods depend on this shit. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, but in the same vein, me and Johnny, we want better for the game more than most people because our livelihoods also depend on it. So it's like... yeah, we want things to be good, so we're more likely to see things in a positive light or whatever, but we also kind of want it to survive so we can continue doing what we love to fucking do. So, like, we're more incentivized rather than, like, a 3-follower fucking Twitter Andy, like, who plays the game on a weekends, like, we have more at stake more often than not than you do. So, like, us giving our opinions and, like, our insights, and we also have lots of insights from the inside of fucking Blizzard. A lot of the time as well, I get a little bit frustrated seeing a lot of takes on. I don't see much on Twitter, but like when I do, and like I hear takes in like Twitch chats and shit like that about matchmaking or about this and that, I'm like, okay, I can talk to people that do like make the matchmaking system, and I fucking complain endlessly about that shit to those people. Like, and we have a bit more of an insight into like the in-depth of the game and Blizzard as a whole, like than regular people out there do as well. So like, yeah, shit sucks seeing people shit on this whole thing. Do we want shit to be better? Yes. And there are some dumb fucking takes out there. Like a lot of dumb fucking takes. And people struggle not to see absolutes. And that is what is frustrating. There is never, and this is like an internet problem, there is never an in-between and in the middle. There's always... we want this thing or we want this thing, and no in between at all. Fuck everybody else. You know what I mean? And there are some very smart people out there. And I will say the SVB podcast, like a lot of those people on that fucking podcast, extremely level-headed and like understand a lot because a lot of their livelihoods
they have some of the best knowledge in the space.
Doing well.
Because they're the most invested and they're really good at what they do. So and in case this blows up, I want to be extremely clear here. I want to separate the two, okay? So just purely isolating what SK said, that I think is a great point, and I actually agree with to an extent that we need, a better connection between like pro play and the community and open tournaments. And I actually agree. I think that's a great point. So, don't have anything against that at all. Also, they're hilarious. They're just fantastic. But second of all, my rant was more about like the roadblock kind of fucking Twitter threads we had like a couple of weeks ago or whatever, which is like, oh, the game was better when it, when there was no roadblock and you just queued in and then you had to talk about your team who would play support and tank that game. Like, no, Like, no, that's the kind of bullshit I hate. That like some mid content creators, they play Overwatch ranked for like 10 hours and then they're like upset because they played Overwatch 10 hours in a row, which no human should do. And then they like get corrupted in their mind after 10 hours of ranked, and they're just like, Symmetra would be great if she brought back like shields to teammates. And it's like, no, like what the fuck? Like, you're not being reasonable. That is the kind of bullshit that I hate. So
everybody also hates their own game. Like, I watch a ton of Apex streamers. I actually watch more Apex streamers, honestly, than Overwatch streamers. It's probably because I play Overwatch a lot, like 10 hours a day. So like, it's, for me at least, watching Apex is like, it's fun. I also really love playing Apex. But holy shit, do Apex players complain? Like, god damn. And holy shit, do League of Legends players complain? And holy shit, do Valorant players complain? And Fortnite players? And like, whenever you're in a system and in a game that you like main, and I don't know about everybody else, but like in general, I only main like one game, and that is Overwatch. And I play some WoW, I play some old school RuneScape, like and shit like that. But like in general, if I want to log on and play a fucking game on my PC when I'm not feeling like shit or tired or whatever, it will be fucking Overwatch, even if it's fucking quick play or whatever, or like I jump on an alt account and like play ranked, or I play Overwatch. I fucking love the game to pieces. Do I get frustrated? Fuck yeah, I do. Holy fucking shit. But like, if you are in that space and you're so deep rooted into that space, and this goes for casual players too, that probably only play one game, maybe a couple, they also hate the game, but they love it. Like, I don't know many people that are like 100% super positive, that are super ingrained into the game. I would... God, I think you'd struggle to find that.
Yeah, but like people can actually have great opinions, just like great suggestions to like balance, or like great suggestions to like alternate the system. But when people just tweet out like alternate universes where everything is like the grass is greener and everything is happy and everything is better, and just like like bringing back like the nostalgia argument, or just like, these old features were really good, we need them back. It's just like, that's really like really grinds my fucking gears. But like, yeah, of course. Now again, as I said earlier, painting with very broad strokes. There are obviously amazing content creators who have like great opinions and fantastic ideas on how to improve Overwatch and how to improve the balance, and stuff like that, like everything relating to Overwatch. So definitely like
comes
sweeping
from a place of love.
It does as well. You know, definitely been there. Comes from a place of love. It does. So that was us ranting for a little bit and trying to break into the
what the hell was even said? I don't even know what was
nothing.
Even said.
Nothing productive was said of us.
Nothing productive.
That was done there, but
someone appreciated that in our chat. Someone appreciated that.
I'm sure someone probably appreciated that one.
Yeah.
So I'm sure someone loved it.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to wrap up this episode? I put down some stuff here about 2022, but I feel like we talked about this year to death. You know, it really was a weird ass year, because this is the last episode of 2022. It was a weird ass year for Overwatch.
Oh shit, is it?
Yeah, and I just want hopefully 2023 will be better and more consistent.
We should rate the year.
I was going to say, do you want to like rate it and then like say your own piece on how you personally felt about the year? Want to do that?
Sorry, I was reading something as you said that.
Epic. Do you want to rate the year as a whole and then give your own little personal piece of how you thought the year went for yourself and the league and shit?
I think that's a very good idea, Jaws. Do you want to kick us off?
Sure. This for me was the best year of the Overwatch League for myself, as personally. From like
career-wise, yeah, you did fucking great this year, Jaws.
Third different partner, pretty pog champ. Can't wait for fourth different partner. That'd be epic. I don't mind that at all, by the way. I'm pissing around, but I think in general, this for myself, I think 2021 was definitely a down point for me, and I was like very close to being like, oh, see ya. Like it was tough. Like it was really tough, and this year like definitely gave me so much in terms of like games. I'm casting like holy shit. I cast the fucking losers finals at grand finals. That's the first time I'd done playoffs.
Stage 1 finals.
In that, like. I did a tournament finals as well with Scott, which was like super good. Back in 2020, me and Hex did like I think the play-ins, maybe one game of playoffs, but I didn't cast apart from like the homestands. I didn't cast on LAN. Although end of 2020 we didn't do that anyway because of COVID. But yeah, so like for me, it was definitely like the best year for myself, and like I would say the best year in esports personally. It was fucking sick. I loved it, and as much as like. Yeah, we had problems with the game and like The game wasn't even fucking out. And holy shit, remember the start of the year when we were doing Plat Chat and we were like, yeah.
Dude, our season didn't start till like fucking May or something, right? April?
Yeah.
Like a third of the year just gone.
The game wasn't even out for people to play. As much as like that sucked. For me on a personal note, I think it was the best year yet, and I'm excited for next year. I think the best thing about next year is the game is out from the fucking beginning, and like we get to experience the very beginning of the year, and like we don't really. Okay, we're definitely gonna have fucking hiccups. Let's be real with ourselves here. What game and what esport doesn't have fucking hiccups? But yeah, overall, I'm fucking hyped. For 2023, we're forming some fucking god squads by the looks of it.
We didn't give a number rating.
Yeah, I was getting to it, motherfucker. I was trying to have a sentimental moment. Sentimental moment.
That was sentimental. That was nice.
Overall, like I would say personally, probably like an 8.5 out of 10. Definitely.
For you personally.
But for me personally, if I had to give like a personal rating,
like what are you giving 8.5 now?
For me personally, if you just like career-wise and like enjoying Overwatch as a fucking player and shit like that,
all right.
I would say, because I was in all the alphas and betas, I would say probably like an 8.5 or a 9.
Hell yeah. I'm happy for you,
It's just a viewer. If I wasn't like playing the game a lot in the alphas and betas and shit like that, I would probably say lower because I wouldn't have been able to play the game. But like just from myself, like yeah, probably up there, 8.5 or 9 out of 10. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Yeah, I love that. That was really good. So
very nice.
Wow. Do I have to be like all doomer now? I mean, look. Yeah,
I mean, it's good to have.
This is your thoughts, your unfiltered thoughts here.
It felt like a transitional year. I mean, it was a transitional year. We transitioned from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. There were a shit ton of hiccups in the place. Our season started late. It was really nice to have the desk back in person in the little truck in Irvine. But at the same time, it was also a very small truck. Like, it was a very small space. And Jaws, you were there multiple times as well.
It was fun to be there for like a couple of weeks. Yeah. Like
a couple of weeks. Look, I fucking love my job. I really do. There's nothing more fun than like, even though the commute to work was like the fucking hellscape of just like 2 hours in traffic one way. It's like... They're like really just like hanging out with the people on the desk and talking Overwatch and getting to be on the Blizzard campus, and like in many ways, you know, that's my dream come true from when I was a kid. So I'm really like living my best life. Got a successful podcast talking with, you know, some of the best friends I have in the world. So, you know, it's awesome. I love Overwatch 2. That's where like we get to like, all right, guys. We had some hiccups this year. It was not a 10 out of 10 year. It was not a 9 out of 10 year. We had the Jotes meta. We started late. The teams couldn't play outside of the scrims. The public didn't have access to the game. We had like 20,000 viewers on the regular at some weeks towards the end of the season. And then the playoffs came around, and the playoffs were fucking awesome. The finals was the best finals we've had yet. Everything was great. Everything was perfect. Overwatch 2 released. I think we have a great foundation going. If they can sort out the Roadhog fixes, yeah, maybe we can go into 2023 and actually, you know, have some momentum going our way. So I'd like to believe this dumbass way of just like structuring your year, that as soon as the date hits 2023, that will be like in a new world, and it's be a new chapter, and everything will be fixed and everything will be great. But it's not, you know, that's not how the world works. But I do want to believe that we're going into 2023 with a lot of good momentum and a lot of things on our side, and we have an opportunity to like really make it a great year. But this year felt like a transitional year. So, you know, personal satisfaction aside from, you know, the job I do and the friends I get to work with and all that, you know, probably this year of Overwatch Esports probably was like a 6 out of 10. You know, I feel like we have so much more potential as an esports scene, as a franchise, and I feel like we're getting there. I feel like we're making the right decisions. I feel like we're slowly and surely becoming a game franchise again that has a lot of things going its way. And so I'm really excited to just build on the playoff success and the Overwatch 2 success going into the next year. And I hope that, you know, maybe some changes to the ranked system, maybe some changes to the esports system, just like slowly but surely I know we're running out of time as a game franchise because, you know, it's not like we have a lot of second chances left. I really just hope that 2023 will be a consistent, nice year for us. And I do have some kind of faith in that, even though people like to be doomer. So, I don't know. I'll give this year a 6 out of 10. Overwatch Esports. Personally, like a 7 out of 10. But, you know, 6 out of 10 for esports. There you go.
Fair enough.
Nice. No, that's a good take.
Avast, you want to knock us under the 5 out of 10 scale? Because I feel like someone, like the right guest would just be like, this year was garbage. It was a 3 out of 10. Like
I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna be firm but fair. I think. So here's some crazy stuff. I think the beginning format of the year with how they did Kickoff Clash and Midseason Madness, turbo trash. I didn't understand like what happened.
Oh, the point system? Yeah.
The point system. Like last year's system was really good despite all the issues. I was like, a 2021 system was pretty good across the board. I don't know why we changed the front half of the year to be so front loaded for no reason. I also don't understand when we had 24 matches, how a team could play one team twice at the beginning of the year and never at the end, when it doesn't account for any sort of meta variability at all. I'm like, how does that happen scheduling wise? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It's an even number of matches. So everyone should play each other twice. Put once at the beginning of the year, once at the end. Like, I know sometimes it doesn't work out perfectly because of like external issues, but I don't think that was all the way the case here. So I lost points for that. Additionally, they did give me some point. They did get some points though for. So I don't think it's like but they get points for making grand finals. We got to have a crowd at grand finals again, which was nice. They got points for that. I would have preferred a whole postseason playoffs LAN, not necessarily crowds, but LAN. So I think they lost points for that. There was no reason we shouldn't have had that at all, in my opinion, other than money, which is fair enough. And so, like, format-wise, the format this year, to me, it lost points, but also gained some points for certain things. But some of them you shouldn't really gain points for winning on a crowd event in 2022, in my opinion. I don't think you should gain points. I think that should have been expected towards that point. So, like, format-wise, I think it overall lost points. I think the game not being fucking out was, like, kind of a disaster across the board.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Like, holy shit.
Like, I think also the drops fiasco for finals was kind of a mess.
Yeah.
So that's, like, I'm going to be real with you. I think it's, like, minor in the comparison of things. Like, that whole, like, honestly, at this point in my life, when people talk about, like, skins and drops and shit, like, I'm being completely honest, I just don't give a like, like people talk about, like, this skin they're selling for 1 coin, why not make it free? I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, I literally don't care about.
I mean, it was like, what was it, like 6 weeks? 5-6 weeks of no drops?
Super complaining about that. Yeah, and also, like, there's no drops for a long time. Don't get me wrong, I think drops are very integral to the esports scene, but also there's a lot of stuff about the skin and stuff. I think the monetization, I think, is a fair point. I think the Battle Pass monetization and the way they did it for Blizzard, I don't think it was, like, the most unfair system ever, especially when compared to pricing for other games. But I do understand why it's kind of ridiculous in certain ways that they did it. And, like, you know, so, like, I can see there's some complaints there, but, like, whatever. I'll leave it pretty neutral for that. Like, I don't care too much about it still because I understand how other games do their Battle Pass. And then personal, like, whatever. I think for Overwatch, it doesn't really matter. For Overwatch Esports, I'm going to say it's a 5 out of 10. I think it's a 5 out of 10. I think what saved it a lot was I personally do think the switch to Overwatch 2 was an overall positive one. So, switch to Overwatch 2, an overall positive change. 5v5 direction was great. I think it aided a lot of the problems that are wrong with the esport. I think the integration of the drops as well and making sure that we see a little bit more cooperation between Team 4 and the Overwatch League, especially when we look at the grand finals and the postseason. Fantastic. I think that's a win. I think getting some LAN events back, great. I think that should have been the norm already. But, like, sure, we got them back at least. So I don't really necessarily, it's more neutral. And then there's some step backs in format. And once again, like, so overall, Overwatch Esports 5 out of 10. But what I always hate these arguments because it's not, I don't really blame the league for certain things. I do think they're fumbling the bag tremendously in this offseason in terms of communication with the teams and the organizations. But once again, I understand their having a really bad problem with our whole region and majority of our viewer base globally just exploded because of a failed publishing deal. So like I can understand why they're working through a lot there. I don't think the excuse is necessarily poor communication, but I can understand why it's so hectic. So to me, these conversations boil down to a lot too. It's the same thing with like the competitive. It's sort of latched onto your point, Johnny. It's like the esports was always tangential to the game. It was always dependent on the game's success. And the issue with Overwatch was never like the esports obviously had problems, but at the end of the day, the biggest thing always holding it back was the game. It was never and how we approached the developer esports ecosystem relationship. It was never really the people running the esports, so they made bad calls at times and they wasn't always ideal. At the end of the day, you can do anything you want, and as long as the game is good and it's balanced properly, like relatively properly and quickly, and you have a good developer relationship with your system, you'll get away with a lot. And we still have not quite gotten to there, but there was a light at the end of the tunnel theoretically with the postseason with the grand finals. But then also now we blew up a whole region and blew up like 70% of the global viewer base. So like, you know,
I kind of just like forgot about that. I kind of just like stored it away in my brain.
I mean, like
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to consider the after effects of that.
Exactly. So overall, like I think this year personally, I still think across the board it was a good year. It was just marred by a lot of issues that were outside of the ecosystem's control. The only things that were in their control were some stupid format decisions and like not running as much LAN events, but that's still literally like to minor in comparison to the game not being out and the publishing deal falling through and the poor relationship at times between Team 4 and the Overwatch ecosystem and their choices with balancing. I mean, also we were discussing this pre-show. How the fuck did my camera's out? I'm not gonna turn it back on. I'm just gonna do this.
Just rage.
Right now. Like, how did they not have the capability and the tools to hotfix their game until like December 12th? Until like December 12th, they couldn't fucking hotfix their game. The John Spector said. Like, what is that? And this is not me being like wanting to cast aspiration. Like, I'm gonna reload just so Jack can hear me.
No, I can hear you.
Okay. So like, this isn't for me being like, I don't know everything they're doing. I'm not gonna pretend to know. I'm not fucking Elon Musk. I'm not gonna pretend to know I know about coding. I'm not gonna pretend that. I'm just gonna say that like, it seems pretty wild that like from a AAA studio and developer that they had all these huge logistical platform issues launching for stuff to fix the problems in the game. Like, I just want to know how that could even happen. So like, all this shit. There's like, this isn't Overwatch Esports though. This isn't the Overwatch League. Sean Miller isn't doing this. Like that's to me at the end of the day where we've always been battling. We've been doing the Sisyphean boulder push for all time for Overwatch Esports against our developer to hopefully find a more harmonious balance. We want to be the little fish nestling in Team 4's gills, eating his scraps, and we have yet to get to that point. We don't have that. We don't have a mutualistic relationship at this time. We just don't have, or even a symbiotic. We don't have it. So like, I would like to see that change in the future for me. But overall, from an esports perspective, I think it did fine. It just, please God, next year, get it together. Get it together next year.
Going back to the third-party tournament thing, I think the biggest frustration, just like with the biggest frustration with like the Overwatch League kind of ecosystem still, it's just like it feels like our esport is alive half of the year. It feels like we only really do stuff like 7, max 8 months out of the year, and then we just take like 4 months off. And like, sure, you can make the case, totally fair to make the case that like, yo, we actually got like really sick contenders tournament going. Like, we just had the Pacific Showdown. Calling All the Heroes, fantastic success. People love that shit, really got invested in the Calling All the Heroes. Love it, awesome, great success story. But like, consider all the top tier talent that we have in the Overwatch League, whether it's the San Francisco Shock, Dallas Fuel, coincidentally, ironically, now doing a show match tonight. But like, to not see these star players, these top tier players of the game, to not see them compete for 4 or 5 months out of the year, like, what the fuck, man? Like, I feel like the way, you know, like the NBA, the NFL, the way they run their seasons, that, you know, they have to take an extended break. Some because of like actual like physical reasons. They need those players to rest up because like they fucking tear their bodies like playing, you know, competing like physically so hard. Like, we don't have to do that. Like, why can't we run shit like 11, 12 months out of the year and like actually like put forth our best players? Like proper should be playing fucking tournaments like 12 months out of the year. Just like farming money, just like get the viewers in to like follow Proper.
Farming money.
No, for real though.
Yeah.
Proper is like a fucking gift, dude. He's a fucking insane esports like superstar, and for like a third of the year he doesn't compete. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, come on. I think that's my biggest frustration with the current Overwatch esports system, that we haven't got like the third-party tournaments. We haven't got like the off-season stuff to keep people invested in what is supposed to be our best players in the entire game. So you can make all the arguments you want about like contenders having great tournaments and calling all heroes. Completely, yeah, I get that. But like, if you look around and you talk about like players like Faker in League of Legends, or like I don't know who like the biggest stars are in Valorant, but like they compete almost like on a year-round basis, and I think us not having that is like a pretty big part.
To be fair, the schedule has been more equivalent with they've had an off season with VCT, and they have, I think that post that went on the competitive Overwatch subreddit was kind of misleading because they had those off season tournaments, but a lot of them were like very creator focused. And they weren't necessarily like, it was teams experimenting a lot with the rosters, which is inherently bad, right? But like, there is a bit of a misunderstanding of how those this first off season for Valorant worked.
Yeah, and I'm not making my argument because of like Valorant, because other esports.
Yeah,
I just think like, okay, just like fuck all the other esports leagues, just like in an isolated esports planning kind of like annual thing. Like, I think it's a mistake to not have your best players, who are supposed to be like your most notorious personalities, for them to not play like 3, 4, 5 months out of the year. I think that is a massive mistake in like viewer retention and fan retention and everything that goes in, you know, having a consistent viewer base.
Put forward a potential idea that I kind of remember back from 2020 and 2021. So with BlizzCon, or like World Cup, coming back, ideally then in that case you'd have the league, say, right, and then you'd end the league, grand finals fucking happen, then you have World Cup, so it's like you continuation almost into the next year, and then before the league starts, me and Hex for a couple of years in a row casted the Steel Series Invitational again with like fucking Glads, for example, was in the Steel Series Invitational, which is like a games that were like, oh, you're winning money, but like this isn't going to contribute to the Overwatch League, but you're still getting players rep time. If we had some sort of like, whether it's fucking Steel Series or like some other tournament organizer that invites certain Overwatch League teams before the season starts into play, either with the rosters that they had or maybe their new rosters, not sure. Obviously, that's logistical at that point. And then have some sort of like hype build up basically for the start of the fucking next league. I think you'd be in that would be like a perfect world in the way that the league would run, then it would stop, World Cup would fucking happen, which, to be fair, World Cup's happening throughout the year, which is going to be wacky. But then you also have, before the league starts, the pre-season where it's just like random third-party tournaments with invited Overwatch League. That would be my ideal for like keeping the flow of like Overwatch esports going. And then of course you have contenders, you have trials, or not trials anymore. I can't remember what happens with contenders now. OD, which I'm competing in, by the way, it's gonna be sick. We're going to Overwatch League, it's gonna be great. But you have those tournaments also running throughout the year, right? But I agree with you, Johnny. There does need to be some sort of pre-Overwatch League thing, invitational, some fucking bullshit to make hype for the fucking next season. Also, to get the players playing in a tournament setting. Because those tournaments, they get good viewership. They do. Especially when it's
and I've been hearing every single year we're always going to have like, oh, we're going to have some pre-season, off-season tournaments. I've heard it every single year, and I've never seen it still. Like, there's occasionally some stuff that happens, like this show match type of thing, but it's not really the same as like a real tier 1 event that is occurring.
A tier 1 event with invited Overwatch League teams and invited top contenders teams. That would be an ideal, because I feel like get to fucking see.
You'd have to arrange one of these tournaments at something like a DreamHack or something of that kind, because I don't think like online would cut it. Just like, hey, we're having an online tournament where fucking, I don't know, Dallas, Shanghai, and Guangzhou are competing. Like, we've had that in the past. We had some of those online tournaments in the past. I mean, cool, but I'm talking more of like, you know, like an actual LAN tournament. So maybe if you invited like four, 6 teams to like a DreamHack, and you have like a one off season tournament with a crowd on stage. It doesn't have to be super Overwatch League branded. Then I think that would be cool.
I think that would be sick. But logistically, I think obviously it's easy to do an online tournament. And I think before you even get to that step, honestly, is just doing online tournaments. And I don't think people are going to be... look, LANs are fucking sick and all that shit, but like timing that with the league going on at the same time, I don't think that's a possibility. I would much rather have a well-produced, well-structured, small mini tournament with invited contenders teams and Overwatch League teams or like something. I don't know.
Dude, what were those COVID tournaments called? We had like the tournaments where like you could have max 2 or 3 Overwatch League players on each team, and then they competed like in like the tournament. That shit was
like
sick.
The something like it was like the bubble. I can't remember the hell. I remember I played in
those tournaments were sick. Yeah, give us those 1 or 2 times a month.
Yeah.
Off season.
I mean, the biggest thing is you just need to run shit. That's it.
Yeah.
Just need to run shit. Like I agree. LAN is nice and all, but just run it. I mean, Valorant's had like a lot of people complain about Valorant that there was so many online events for Valorant. Just run the events. Run events. So I don't know. I mean, a lot of doom and gloom. Overall, my point though is that I don't think this year was an inherently bad year for Overwatch in terms of like what the league wanted to do and achieve in competition-wise. It's more so just the game is still holding it back on a lot of fronts, and that has to be shifted. And obviously, I'd like more priorities towards the events, but that's a secondary priority to having like a not 6-month off season and a game that's out so everyone can play it and type of things, and like more of that system, that relationship between the system and developers. So there's a lot of positive things about this year, in my opinion. I think of what we chose to do, but I think there was also still a lot of stuff to work through it, and hopefully it continues to improve next year. I think hopefully that's my hope, is that even if somehow APAC is ejected, it's the imposter among us, it's sent out the airlock, I think there's still a chance that you could still have a good year the following year. It's just how you do it, you know? There still is that chance. And I'm not writing it off necessarily.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Hey,
happy holidays!
Happy holidays!
Good podcast! Yeah! Anyone feeling that Christmas spirit right now?
Oh my god. I didn't expect this episode to be that long, to be honest. So,
well, it did turn into we did turn into a rant fest at points.
Yeah,
that's good. It's good to get your thoughts and feelings out. I think that's fine.
Yeah, people love that shit.
We had to do it for Scott. He wasn't here. We had
to
make some extra dialogue.
We had to film Scott. Yeah.
It was good talking 2022 with you guys, and as such, we say goodbye to 2022, and we head into Overwatch Esports 2023. My prediction is that someone in 2023, one content creator will vouch for old Torbjorn or old Symmetra to be brought back, because the game was better back then. So,
that's a very safe bet.
I'm making that prediction.
Which one was I'm trying to remember the old Torbolt now. It was the turret one, right? Where like
Mega
it just
turret,
got
level 3 turret.
Level 3 turret. Yeah. God, that ult was dog.
Dude, did you remember running? Do you remember dying as Torb, running back, and your turret's still alive? You just hit. You're like, I'm not in the fucking fight. I'm just gonna hit ult. And
God,
then
such a bad ult though.
Dude, oh man, I loved it. I think it was really funny, but yeah. It was really.
It was a turret. The turret. Honestly, the turret in general has been like. I feel like it's one of those concepts that is not translated exceptionally well into Overwatch. It's done all right. I think in certain metas it's very impactful, like the Echo Genji meta, where you can poke and there's not a lot of heal. But yeah, I don't think it's ever been translated as well as it did. And
I can't believe we still have Symmetra turrets, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My camera's dead.
Yeah.
This is so sad.
My camera's dead. All right, Bren's Player of the Week. I have a proposition for Bren's Player of the Week.
Okay, let's hear it.
You want to give it to Pre? Put it together in the roster.
Yeah, legendary. Yeah, I'm down.
I don't know if Avast is here.
Yeah, why not? You know,
right.
I think honestly, I'll give him some credit there. I think that's like a very fair shout out across that case. Yeah.
All right. Brent's Player of the Week to end 2022 is Pre. Here we go.
There you go.
Can't wait to see Boston Uprising in action next year. All right, that's going to do it for Plat Overwatch in 2022. It's been a tumultuous year for the podcast too. I mean, I'm pretty much hosting / producing now, so it's a bit of a weird one.
But you, Johnny.
Well,
shout out Johnny.
Shout out Johnny.
Shout out Johnny.
We'll refurbish the podcast in 2023. We'll have some maybe make some slight adjustments, and we'll make sure that it's fun. It breathes some new life into the podcast. It'll be all great.
Let's make some slight adjustments. Let's start kicking everybody. Fuck them.
Yeah, we'll have you guys on one by one, and it'll be me doing one-on-one interviews.
That would be good.
No, it would not be good. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone who has watched and liked our videos and commented on our videos in 2022.
Yeah. Can I say something, Johnny? Real quick?
Yeah.
Fucking shout out you guys right there. Shout out you guys. Because Overwatch community, as much as people complain, and there's a lot of baby raging on the timeline, I don't see because I don't look at the timeline that much. Shout out to the fucking Overwatch community, bro. You motherfuckers, especially that have stuck around throughout like the years that we've been kind of shitty. So yeah, especially when we were getting not so favorable numbers. You know, I think the Overwatch community in general, especially the hardcore fan base, which a lot of like Plat chat people are, I think they're some of the best community out there. Seriously, it's
definitely one of the most passionate ones.
For sure.
Isolating the Plat chat community, I think that the Plat chat community is fucking great.
Yeah.
And the Plat chat community is like top tier when it comes to like making up trades or like making up player moves to like new teams. It's always funny to see. So I appreciate the Plat chat community. They're always good fun. I enjoy.
Despite what my frozen face would say, they do have some bangers they put out there. They definitely got some bangers that are keeping it. The guys at this point, we're a cottage industry, and what keeps Overwatch Esports alive is memes.
Yeah.
We need memes. Everyone get back into your basements. Get your various band of meme components and build your favorite meme bombs. And then we release the dirty meme bombs into the air in a sort of meme terroristic fashion. And that's what we need to keep Overwatch Esports alive.
Indeed.
There you go.
We'll see what the first big 2023 Overwatch meme is and what team it relates to. I can't wait to see what you got cooking during New Year's, Avast. I can't wait to see what the new supply of memes for next year.
Oh god, it's going to be an interesting time. Well, it depends on how long until there's matches to really stream again. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see.
The meme will be that there is no tournaments being played. We'll see. China, the Chinese APAC region, that will be the first meme of 2023. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, holy shit. We'll end the episode here. Thank you for watching, everybody, this year. Thank you, Johnson and Avast. Hope you guys have a good New Year's. Merry Christmas to you all. It's not Christmas anymore, but Merry Christmas. Merry Boxing Day.